rational individual.
Yo! What the fuck are y'all doing? How y'all feeling? How are you all living, baby? Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the stream. It is so good to see so many beautiful faces back on the stream. Look, I told him, he said, what do you, I went to the store and they said, what do you want to look like? I said, give me that Carmelo Anthony 2002, 2003. He said, no, say no more. I said, give me the 3-piece. Let me get the 3-piece with the vest. He said, say no more. Say no more. Tell me how he did. Tell me how he did. Tell me how he did. Ah! God, it is so good to see you all. Welcome back to the stream. It is a beautiful week. The markets look like shit, but we look good, okay? We look good. We have so much to cover. We have so much to get into today. We have so much to go over. If you would like to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. It's the only place where I read chat messages, and I highly recommend you pull up there. I got a special delivery last night, a very special delivery last night. That new Jack Schwager, Market Wizards, the next generation. That's that new. I started reading it. It's awesome. It's awesome. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but this guy is in the Market Wizards, the short bear. Do you know who this is? He's like the biggest crypto bull in the TL right now. He's in the market. Apparently, he's made like $1 billion in liquid markets. I don't know. I've heard of differentiating numbers, but he's in the book. Yeah, like Market Wizards. And apparently he's made like $1 billion. I don't know. I have no idea how much he's made. But his most vocally bullish position, the asset he's the most vocally bullish on is Ether. He's an Ether bull. Like perma bull on ETH. It's unbelievable. So we have, yeah. Apparently he's a billionaire. I don't know. I don't know. That's just what I've heard. I don't really know too much about too much, but he's never really done an interview, and he did Market Wizards, and Jack got him on. So he's retarded. Yeah, Jack got him on, and we got Jack on tomorrow. And so I was reading some old Jack Market Wizards books, and I mean, dude, I've been talking about these books for a long time. I've been reading these books for a long time. I think I first started reading them 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I didn't fully understand what I was reading because I didn't know who any of the traders were. And he's coming on the stream tomorrow. I mean, he's interviewed, and he's coming on the stream tomorrow, and I didn't fully realize the scale as to which he's interviewed quality traders. And I went through and I looked, and I mean, bro, he's interviewed everybody. Paul Tudor Jones in the book. Stanley Druckenmiller at 35 years old in the book. Michael Steinhardt in the book. Michael Markets, Commodities Corporation in the book. Bruce Kovner in the book. Like, bro, he's the one who put us onto Chris Camillo in the book. He's literally interviewed every David Shaw in the book, Jim Simons in the book. He's interviewed every Steve Cohen in the book. Like, he's interviewed everyone. Every great trader to ever live, he's interviewed. He's 77 years old. And the craziest part about the whole read is that he's not a trader. He's pretty open about this. He's like, I don't have what it takes to be a trader. I'm not a trader. Yet he's interviewed every great trader. Basically I don't think he's gotten Soros. There's some guys he's missed. I don't think Bill Ackman has been on. I don't think there's a few guys that have not been on, but he's basically interviewed every great trader. And I was reading some old chapters. And so one of the things I realized, I'm reading these chapters. I read Stanley Druckenmiller last night, and I read Michael Marcus. And what I didn't realize at the time is that most of the information in More Money Than God is taken from the Market Wizards interviews. That's how he has all his info on all these guys. It was taken from the Market Wizards, which is crazy to read. And one of the things I thought was so interesting is like, okay, the first Market Wizards was written in 1989. 1989. In there, Michael Steinhardt is in there. The Commodities Corporation guys are in there. Bruce, Michael Marcus, and Stanley Druckenmiller's in there. Stanley Druckenmiller was like 30 years old in this book. It's insane. It's 1989. It was like 2 years after Black Monday. And I'm reading these really old interviews. And I'm reading this one with Michael Marcus. And so he is famous. He was a trader for Commodities Corporation, which was like the dominant fund of the 70s. And their whole bit was like, they called it trend surfing. And so they basically would slam breakouts and they would not sell. And they were like the first fund that would trade all asset classes. And so their whole bit was they would basically slam ATH breaks and just sit there and hold it. And they would print. This guy, Michael Marcus, allegedly turned 20,000 to 80 million in the 70s. After take fees, he turned 20, 30,000 to 80 million in the 70s, bro. Which is what? I mean, what's $80 million in 1979? 80 million in 1979 to today. That's like what? I mean, it's a quarter. They're saying that's $360 million. Okay, $360 million today. So, I mean, he made 80 million in the 70s. And it's so funny you read these old trading stories and it just is like a different era. And one of the things that I always find interesting in these books is I don't think they're nearly as active in markets as we are, right? For better or for worse. And so they talk about their trading eras by the trades that they were in. And it's like the trade of the 80s or like the trade of the 70s or like the trade a year. Like they don't take that many active positions. It's like the trade of the year. Like the 80s, oh yeah, that was Black Monday era. And that's like, or like the 70s. Oh, that was when Volcker or the Fed share comes in. That was the gold year, right? Gold, we're off the gold standard. Gold went up like whatever bajillion percent. That was the gold. It was like the gold decade. And then it was the Black Monday decade. And then it was the dot-com decade. They talk about it like in decades, bro. And so we talk about these things in hours sometimes. And so one of the things that I thought was crazy is it's 1989 and he's mostly retired. And he's doing this interview and he's talking about Michael Marcus. You should Google him. And he's talking about how he had an era where he was really hyped about trading commodities, trading currencies. And the thing about trading currencies is that they're 24/7. It was the only asset that was 24/7 trading. And in 1989, Michael Marcus is like, I had to stop. Fuck 24/7 markets. It destroyed my marriage. I was waking up every 2 hours. Nobody should ever have to trade 24/7 markets. And this was written, it was written 37, is that right? 37, it was written 37 years ago in this page, that nobody should ever trade 24/7 market. It sucks. It ruined my marriage. I was waking up every 2 hours, checking the charts, da-da-da. And then now here we are. And basically everything is 24/7 now. It's like we're buying Marvell at midnight on EST hours after Jensen's in South Korea talking about Marvell is going to go to $1 trillion. And there's, 9 figures move on Hyperliquid. And it was kind of a crazy thought. And so then it led me to think like, all right, are we going to look back on these trading years as the decade defining trades? Like, are we going to look back on the 2025 to 2030 era as the Hyperliquid trade? Is that a thing? Or like the SpaceX trade? Is 2020s going to be the Bitcoin trade? Or the ETH trade? Or the Solana trade? Is 2020s going to be... maybe there's smaller brackets like every 3 years. Like 2020s was like Bitcoin, meme coins, Hyperliquid. It was the crypto decade. I don't know. But it's pretty wild. You read these guys and you read these posts and the way that they talk about it, and it just felt like they traded so more infrequently. I think partly it was partly because of the structure, like you just couldn't trade as actively. It was harder. It wasn't really set up for 24/7. But it's sick read. It's a sick read, and I recommend that people read it. And so he's coming on tomorrow. He's not a trader. Jack Schwager. He got his start because he got an analyst job writing about cotton or something. But one of the funniest bits in this whole book, by the way, in all these market wizards, is all of these traders basically a lot of them got their start as analysts at some trading firm and they knew absolutely nothing. And they were the analysts. They knew absolutely nothing. They referenced it over and over. I knew nothing. And you were getting paid as an analyst? Yeah. Were the funds following your trades? Yeah. Did you know what you were doing? Absolutely not. It's a really good bit. It's a really, really, really good bit. But I don't know. That's a lot of what I want to talk to him about, is that the change, like the evolution of markets, 24/7 now. Everything's 24/7. Like I don't know. These guys are not used to trade like this. So I'm excited. I haven't really read the new market wizards. I was kind of just reading the old ones. But bro, he's 77. He's been doing trader interviews since he was like 30. He's the one. He's the go. So that will be tomorrow. I look forward to you guys getting a chance to watch that interview, and it's probably my personal favorite. So I'm excited for that. Second is today we have Good Alexander coming on in about 1 hour and 5 minutes to talk about SpaceX IPO, Anthropic drama, MYTHOS drama, Anthropic revenue going down, subsidy, whatever. He's the AI GOAT, and he's our IPO guy for sure. And so I called him in yesterday. I said, Good Alexander, the people want you. They want to hear from you, man. You down? And he said, hell yeah, I'm down. So we're going to do Good Alexander. I'm going to really focus on SpaceX and how we're going to trade it, because tomorrow, I believe the details are finalized on SpaceX IPO. And then I believe first tick on the open market is going to happen on Friday. And so obviously we are going to be, we might do Maybe we do an all dayer on Friday. I don't know. Is that crazy? An all day stream on Friday for the SpaceX IPO? Market open and I just don't get off? We just hang out? Like, we just, like, kick it for a while and we just shoot the shit and we just fucking, I don't know. First tick of the SpaceX IPO? I mean, your kids are going to ask you where you were when this happened. Like, if you know, imagine being alive for 1987 Black Monday. Hey, can I tell you one more story real quick? It's my favorite story. No, I know what happened at Market Open, but I would like to, you don't really know when it is. I thought Cerebus was going to happen at Market Open, and I was so confused. Quick story. The worst trade of all time. I read the Stanley Druckenmiller chapter. He was 35. I recommend you read this one because he's old now, man. He's old. He doesn't sound as articulate. The worst trade in history of the world. Okay? October 18th, 17th, 16th. Friday, October 16th, 1987. Stanley Druckenmiller and Duquesne fund. He's super bearish. Okay? He's like max short 100% of their book. They manage a couple $1 billion. He's max short. It's the Friday before Black Monday. Stock market dropped 29%. It was like 160 sigma move or some insane shit. Okay? He's giga short. He's a giga bear. He's like, I'm so bearish. I'm so bearish. I'm so bearish. He looks at his levels. He looks at his technicals. And he decides that the move has happened. They're up a lot of money. They take their profit on the shorts. They close. Right before market close, he makes a decision and he says, you know what? If I'm not bearish, I'm bullish. I think at the very least, we're going to have some level of a bounce before we go lower. I'm long. This is the Friday before Black Monday, October 16th, I guess, 1987. Not only does he close his shorts and flip long, but an hour before market close on the Friday before Black Monday, when S&P dropped 29% in like a day, Stanley Druckenmiller takes the entire fund. Duquesne takes the entire fund and goes long 130% of their book. 130% long. 130% long. Okay? And he tells his story that the market closes and there's no 24/7 shit. You can't get out. And he goes 130% long with like $5 billion on the like $3.5 billion book or whatever. Market closes. He then goes and he hangs out with his old boss, this trader of his. He's telling the story in the market, which is so good. His old boss, I'm blanking on the name. I'll pull it up for you in a little bit. He hangs out with this trader of his, okay? This guy used to run the fund that he worked for, and this guy's been retired for 20 years. He claims he hasn't looked at a market in 20 years. Stanley Druckenmiller gets lunch with him on like Saturday morning, okay? And he brings up the market, and the guy asks him, he's like, can you show me a price chart for like the S&P or whatever? Druckenmiller's like, yeah, sure. Shows him a price chart. And the guy goes, you know, I haven't traded the stock in 15 years, but I'm at this retirement community, and there's one too many players at these bridge games on Friday nights talking about how much money they've made in the stock market. I think it's about to go down a lot. And Druckenmiller's like, what? I just longed 130% of the book. Are you sure you haven't? No, I haven't looked at the market in 15 years, but I just like got this feeling. It's his old boss. I just got this feeling. I think it's going to go down. The next day, Sunday, he meets with Paul Tudor Jones. And he's like, Paul, I'm fucking long. 130% of the book. And Paul goes, look at this chart my associate, Peter Borlish, who we're trying to get on the stream. Peter Borlish just drew up. And he has the infamous chart. And it's 1929 overlaid on 1987. And it's the exact same fractal. And it just has to go down in a straight line. And he's like, fuck. And he says, in that moment, I just felt it. I knew I was fucked. And so like 5 minutes before market open on Monday, he calls every broker in the world to sell all of his positions, but they're long like $5 billion in 1987, bro. Market opens, stock market, limit down before he could sell, limit down again before he could sell, limit down again. And by the time he was able to sell, the stock market was down 29% in like an hour. on the S&P 500. It was on 29% in an hour, and Stanley Druckenmiller was long 130% of their entire fund, which was like a $5 billion fucking fund, bro. He was long 130%. And so this is the last thing, is Jack, Market Wizards author, has this little bit where he makes fun of efficient market theory, right? And they said that so he makes fun of efficient market theory, and one of the justifications he does or uses to make fun of efficient market theory and say it's bullshit is that the likelihood of that drop in Black Monday, October 19th, 1987 was 10 to the power of 160, okay? And this is what he claims. I don't know if this is true. He claims the same likelihood of the S&P dropping 29% in a day has an equivalent likelihood of you blindfolding yourself, randomly picking an atom out of the entire universe, spinning around, closing your eyes, doing it again, and picking the same atom back to back. Has the equivalent likelihood of the fractal printed on October 19th, 1987, assuming efficient market theory was true. And it's fucking not. So anyways, that's my story. Thank you for listening and humoring me. That is what I have. Anyways, that's the guy who's also with GoodAlex. That's the guy who's coming on stream tomorrow. I'm fucking hype. You should be hype. It's going to be awesome. And DNAP is not in the waiting room. Okay, one quick topic before we do you know what. We have an hour until Good Alexander. This influencer brand thing is really popping off. First and foremost, Brian Johnson just launched a longevity RX platform. It has all of the prescriptions he currently uses. And I mean, this is going to be massive. I'm not going to lie. This is going to, I mean, I would buy Brian Johnson pills. I'm not going to lie. The first thing listed is his Cialis. Unbelievable marketer. He probably makes $1 billion from this. Seriously, like just an unbelievable play. Go on the site. Medicine.immortals.com. Let's actually see. It's probably not the most efficient way to do this. It's pretty cheap too. It's tretinoin. I heard tretinoin is so good for your skin. I fixed my skin. I don't need it. Minoxidil, $13 a month. I mean, he's going to print. I mean, he's going to... You know, I wonder, what does a company like Hims do? How do you beat Brian Johnson in distribution? You probably don't. You would have wished you signed him to a brand deal, but he's too smart for that. If you're Hims, how do you beat Brian Johnson in over-the-counter drug distribution? You don't. Second one that launched is Kai Trump just launched an energy drink company accelerator, entering the market as a competitor to Logan Paul and KSI's popular energy drink brand Prime.
All right, let's see my new flavor. Oh my god.
I just launched my own energy drink with Accelerator, and honestly, I couldn't be more excited.
This tastes absolutely amazing.
It's called Blue Rat Slush, and getting to create my own flavor
Branding does kind of suck. I hate it.
with a brand I've worked with for the past year has been so exciting. I love this brand, so getting the opportunity to go from being an athlete sponsored by the brand to investing in creating my very own energy drink has been something I'll never forget. This has been months of preparation, from flavor testing and choosing the final recipe to seeing the can for the very first time, and everything that went into bringing this drink to life. Blue Rat Slush is officially out now, and I cannot wait for you guys to try it.
Anyways, also, Luke, I'm gonna let DNAP in, but tell him to mute. I'm surprised there's not been more of this. These influencer brands. I really am surprised there's not been more of these. I was thinking about it today. Like, how far away are we from you walk into a 7-Eleven and every single piece of merchandise on the shelves is like an athlete or a celebrity's own brand? It's probably gonna accelerate really, really fast. And then I was thinking about it a second step forward. That if this is the case, right? Like, if this is the case, if this accelerates tenfold, a company like Brian Johnson, what he's working on is gonna obliterate a Hims. How do you compete if you're Hims? I think it's really hard to do it. And so I was thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, if this is the case, and if every influencer, every celebrity is about to launch a product really fast, these sponsorship deals from these mainstream products are going to go fucking through the roof as they try to save themselves. Like, if you're Gatorade, you're in a weird spot. You are in a really, really weird spot if you're Gatorade. There's so much competition. Every athlete, like, I think Steph Curry is launching something. Tom Brady's launching coconut water. Like, every single athlete in the world is going to launch a drink. It's the most obvious thing of all time. And so if you are Gatorade and some of these mainstream companies, you're in a really tough spot. You basically got to sell out and sign Wemby, sign these other guys, sign all of this. But anyways, we'll come back to it. We have a lot to talk about. I didn't even do roll call. Let's do roll call real quick, and then we got to get into what we got to get into. Agent, what's good? Migmas, what's good? I'm scared to look at Oracle earnings. Proof of work, what's good? Doctor, what's good? Kevin, what's good? Blind Squirrel, Tingle Trader, what's good? What's good? Beef, what's good? Jayla, what's good? 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 Viblet, what's good? Caleb, what's good? Greg, Zaru, Tom Brady, Perps, what's good? Agent, live the life, what's good? Rectal, what's good? What's good? What's good? G-Man, what's good? Baby, Booty Watcher, Charlie, da 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 da. Clayboy Cardi, what is good? All right, we have 53 minutes until we're gonna be joined by Good Alexander on the stream. I look at my clock right now, and my clock is reading 4:07 p.m. And when it's 4:07 p.m., that means it's officially Market Right, you want to know what I want to know? Give me what I want. Give me what I want. What are you buying? What are you selling? What did you make money on? What did you lose money on? What are you looking to enter? What are you looking to exit? What do you like? What do you hate? What looks interesting? What looks terrible? Give me names. Give me names. Give me names. Call your shot right now and forever live in glory or shame. Whether you're right or long MSTR, and I mean it, glory or shame. Also, if you're on YouTube or Twitter, you want to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. JLED is long Lily. Zcash short, proof of work, long oil, equity short tech. Oh, brother. Hood looking good. Yes, it is. Lost money long in the NASDAQ. That sentence does not get uttered that often. Short ADA. 90X on Joshua currently. How much are you up? Long Micron till I die. Air Mask, welcome to the stream. Marvell back to 244, and I sold down on everything. PayPal, really. Sold my Call of Duty account for how much money? Long RuneScape gold. I sold half my VVV bag. VVV does not look good, but I like it. You know I like VVV. Stocks look like shit right now. Yes, they do. Up 76,000. Check on FOMO. Wow. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations. Looking at hype around here at the last key support before 40s. Oracle, down too much on hype. Hype doesn't look good. Did I miss roll call? You just did, but I'll welcome you. Oracle dumped with a double beat. That's going to be the first thing we look at. Round tripping PCT. What is PCT? Guys, I'm assembling a team. We're going to dive into Hormuz straight and cut all underwater cables and go long on Starlink. Who is with me? That's called activist investing right there. Hype to sub 40s. It does not look great. What else? 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 Late, but I made it. 12. Welcome. Hormuz underwater cables. Knicks today, by the way, as we know, everybody knows that. You got to watch the Knicks today. Micron. PCT is a polypropylene recycling company with a very high short interest. What does that even mean? Fellas, what you know about the recycling industry? Fellas. What you know about the plastics industry, huh? Polypropylene is a durable plastic found in items like yogurt cups, margarine tubs, and bottle caps with very high short interest. Interesting. Do you fuck with EDM? Not really. All right, let's take a look. Let us take a look. And wow, it was a bloody day in the markets today. The S&P 500 basically closes at low of the day, coming in at 725.81. SPX down 1.62% at 72.67 flat. Pretty ugly day. It seems like war is still on the table. And this was a weird day. Like, we were down a lot, retraced a lot of those losses almost flipped into gains. And then like at one point we were up and then ripped it back down with a pretty gnarly close. We are now looking at a dip of about 4.5% off ATH, and it's not a lot, but it's definitely not nothing. It's definitely not nothing on the SPX. The NASDAQ 100, that's on 1.82%. The Dow is on 1.87%. The Kospi last night's session and the South Korea session, that's down 4.5%. This is starting to look pretty gnarly. I don't want to be that guy, but this is starting to look relatively gnarly. The Qs, they're down 2 full percent, making that about a 7.5% dip on big tech. The semi ETF puts in a second red day. That's down about 13% off ATH. The IGV, it tried it today, man. It really, there was a moment I think where the SOX was down 3% and some change, and IGV was up 1 to 2%, and it ends up closing down 1.5 officially. And then the IBB, or bio index, that is down 2 full percentage points, and we're looking at about 7% off of ATH. All right, the big earnings that just happened, let's give it a look. Oracle with a double beat. However, we know that that is not enough these days to just beat. You must demolish. Let's see. Let me fix this real quick. Oh, okay, I guess it's fine actually. There you go. There we go. Okay, Oracle was down like 2.2% intraday. It just wicked crazy. Wow. It was down to 183. It's now down like 1%-ish after hours at 198. It really did go for a second there. Let's check on Hyperliquid really quick. No, not that. Man, all I can think about right now is Loracle. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of Oracle, Hyperliquid's getting crushed, and I think he flipped long. Yeah, this is gnarly. Funding is minus 30%. 35 mil volume is not bad. Is anyone long Oracle in our chat? Greg, I know you like it a lot. Pretty solid recovery on this. Wow, it's about to flip green. Wow. Wow. It's really gonna go green, huh? Unbelievable. Flip green. Basically at break even after hours today. That's awesome. Capital Flows is long Oracle. I think he's like very long Oracle. Let's give him a look. I really like this guy. Didn't know chat had that type of motion. Is he posting about Oracle? When we read Oracle earnings, today's entire slide I covered in today's live stream, mapping fundamental scenario analysis and Larry Ellison's big bet. Trading view model he made for it. What does it look like? That is too much for me. First chatter, Oliver Davis, welcome to the stream. Give some W's for the first chatter. Anyways, it flips green on the day. That's a great sign. That is very great. We don't need this Broadcom drawing down the broader market. Trader Main, thanks for the 20 gifted. Welcome to New York, brother. Welcome to New York. Moving on, cryptocurrency. First and foremost, Bitcoin. Really, first chatter, Nike. Welcome to the stream. Give some W's to Nike. And get some W's for Trader Main. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for the gifted, Mr. Main. We're long overdue for an episode. Bitcoin, really nothing new to add here. I was almost about to make a tweet today. I typed up the tweet and it was like something along the lines of, wow, war escalation in Bitcoin is green. It was up like 2% intraday. It retraced the whole move. And it looks like we're going for new lows. I'm going to be honest. We're ready. I think we're ready. Maine, what do you think? What's your target? I got this yellow line at 50K. Looks relatively strong to me. I'm still completely uninterested in BTC at the moment, but 61.7, and it looks ready to go again. I think it looks ready to go again. I don't know what's the 4-hour look like. Pretty gnarly, just, yeah. It was a strong green candle, but it's hard to, hard to make up any Bitcoin strength when, the SPX looks the way that it does. Hyperliquid is the real disappointing one, I think. It tried to make a little bounce move here. I have this nasty head and shoulders drawn out. Try to make a little bit of a move, but it looks pretty weak. I don't know what the level is for buying on HL. I don't know. 50? I mean, if we were to go trader main supply demand zone, if I learned these correctly, I would draw them something like one here. And I wouldn't draw another one until, I don't know, down here. If I learned main school. If I learned main school correctly, it looks like you're not supposed to buy until 44. Maybe even you could put it here. If you really were feeling bearish, which is like 40. So I don't know. I don't have a position on hype. I love hype. I would like to use this as an opportunity to buy some spot for the first time. I told you the only way I'm trying to trade right now, long-term spot I believe in, which right now is AMC and StubHub, which is ridiculous. That we'll talk about when I get there. And then special situations, ladies and gentlemen. I love a special situations. I'm so fucking God. They would have made there was an opportunity for a movie to get made about me on the Zcash short, and I didn't take it. I didn't take it right. You know, there was an opportunity for me to get in a movie on the Zcash short on the hack. Deadass. There was an opportunity for me to get a movie made about me, and I fucking fumbled it. But I'm not gonna lie, I have obsessively journaled about this Zcash trade, and I'm ready for the next one. Look at the next one. Special situations, brother. The weekly on hype. Yeah, it looks like I'm drawing it right here, trader main. Tell me what you think. Looks like 40s, low 40s. I know we don't really respect wicks, but maybe we can. Something like this. So we'll see what happens with hype. Zcash the same. I fumbled it short yesterday too. Short size too much, high time frame too much, but this looks ready to go as well. 414 on Zcash. Not that much to take away from these coins at the moment. The weakest ETH looks pretty bad, down 1%, and it just feels like there's no optimism painted anywhere on this chart. It's funny, man. We talk about Jack Market Wizards. They got the short bear. They got the short bear in the book, and his most outspokenly bullish position is ETH. He's in the new generation of Market Wizards. I don't know what he knows, but yeah, look, it's his title. I have it right here. Look. I took the cover off because it's a hardback and it's annoying, but he's an ETH like gigabull. So interesting to see it, but I don't really see an end in sight for ETH at the moment. But we'll get there when he has 2-year leaps on ETH, so he's chilling for the long term. And then Solana, which came out today, and while they are trying to change the branding to not be a gambling company, they did announce this today.
This could be the last card of the 2003 World
What y'all know about
Series
Chris
of Poker.
Moneymaker?
What you see is plain luck. What you don't see is the complex calculation behind every read, the cost of every call, and the
video.
weight of every fold. You see them moving with conviction. You don't see the math behind every move. The position, the pot odds, the expected value, the edge. You see the numbers on the cards. You don't see the numbers behind every decision. And the nerve to make the right one.
He's all in.
You see them going all in. You don't see everything they held back. The doubt, the fear, the noise. The real play is never just the move. It's the mind behind it. The World Series of Poker, now presented by Solana.
It's a pretty good ad. I can't lie. But what does this do for the narrative? Nothing. I don't know. How much do you think that spot costs, by the way? I don't know. But Solana is $63. It's basically made this last support line into resistance, and I don't really know what happens below there. I don't really want to find out what happens below there. Also, PER is down a lot. This is the hyperliquid DAT that traded really well. This is down 35% off ATH on the PER DAT. Versus 28% on hyperliquid. I'm super anti DAT, but also wait, let me read this real quick. Hold on. I'm super anti DAT. I don't know why you would buy them, but the PER one has done well, all things considered. And then we have Stretch here, 95.81. Let's take a look just in case, but I don't think, no, 0 Bitcoin on Stretch. Yields are up across the board. 2-year, 10, and 30 are all up. The VIX was up 11% intraday today, which is terrible. Does anyone here trade the VIX? Is that like a thing? Is that a thing that anyone does here, trading the VIX? VVV is the last coin, volatility index. VVV is the last coin that I have on this like majors crypto section. It does feel like it's rot. I mean, this thing look at the way this thing is so like schizo, bro. Look at this thing go. It's so schizo. VVV is down 13% intraday. All right, metals chats. Where are we? Silver, or excuse me, gold, which I've been pretty open that I think gold looks terrible, is off a cliff today. It's down 4.3%. Peter Schiff is bull posting, excuse me, but this looks ugly. It's down 4.5% on gold. Silver, I think, is worse. Not quite. This is down to $63. It's down it's almost 3% on silver. And then the one that I like the most is copper. And I am not really looking. I've convinced myself this is a bottleneck of robotics and AI, and the most interesting out of all of the metals. But I have no position in any. No position in any, but I know a bunch of people in this chat like it. Sorry, I had to send a couple messages. That is our crypto metals little section. All right, let's get into where things get a little bit dicey. First and foremost, oil, crude, front-dated contracts is 90.75 a barrel right now. That's up 3% on crude. Second, Brent oil, 93.45. That is up 2.5% on Brent oil. Not great. We have a Trump speech we have to watch a few minutes of. We have some escalation headlines that we have to read. And the thing that is so annoying about this oil chart is it hangs around and it looks clean just enough for you to convince yourself that you could long it before you get whipsawed either direction. I think proof of work is the only oil bull in this chat. Am I wrong about that? I think proof of work is the only oil bull that is like open about it. He might be the only one here that's like proud enough to say it. The only oil bull in this entire chat. Proof of work 69, and it looks decent at the moment. All right, here's where things get ugly. Squaba as well. Okay, Squaba, Rockefeller. You got to call your shot. If you call your shot on the oil trade, you get to ride with glory or ride with shame. You get to ride with glory, you get to ride with shame. All right, here's where things get a little bit dicey. I have 5 green names on my semis, big AI, a little bit of SAS, a little bit of everything in between chart. First and foremost, we have Cerebras, which is printing a pretty nice potential bottom here. This is up 4.5%, 4.6% on the day. Second, SPCE, our little micro cap space stock, that is up 2.6% on the day. It's a fucking bizarre chart, but it's green. Netflix is up 1%. Apple's up 0.35 after an ugly day yesterday. And Snowflake is basically flat. There was a Basic16Z tweet for those who know that I'm a big fan about Cerebras, which was asking like, let me see. Yeah, Cerebras prints the airdrop fractal, which is, in my opinion, the airdrop fractal is like hood. Something like this. Like, let me go like weekly. This to me is the airdrop fractal. Like, launch goes up a little bit, down only, chill, put in this like super long dated rounded bottom and then rip it back. It looks decent, but I haven't paid a ton of attention to Cerebus. Then we get into the red. First and foremost, robo strategy. Kind of a gnarly day because if you look at the hourly, this thing was the biggest gainer at one point. It was up like 12, 13, 14% intraday, and it closes down 15% on robo strategy. It's now up like give or take 25% from where Andrew Kang publicly takes over as CEO. Bloom Energy, that's down 10. Cloudflare, that's down 7. QCOM is down 7, and it's a pretty ugly chart. I am willing to declare the Jensen shill power over, by the way. He called out QCOM, let me see if I can find the video, as one of the next, as the next stock immediately after Marvell, and I don't think it was ever even green for a tick.
As AI goes to the edge, do you expect, NVIDIA to be strategically interested in, also entering smartphone chips again?
No. And the reason for that is because it's not necessary. I think Apple's doing a fantastic job. I think Qualcomm's doing a great job. I don't think it's necessary.
I didn't actually watch this
I
video.
also think that in order to build chips for smartphones, the software stack is very different. Nobody has a better software stack than NVIDIA on PCs, period. I can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So we offer something very unique, and we're quite specialized in that. But for mobile devices, the software stack's very different, the peripherals are very different, and so we're incredibly good here. I don't think we're incredibly good at mobile devices, and I don't think it's necessary. I think they're doing
Yeah, it was a weaker shill.
good job. Buy their stock. It's good.
He hit that, though. He hit that at the end.
I spent the whole day selling other people's stock. Yeah. It's good. It's good to help other people. We should be happy other people succeed.
He hit that at the end. The Marvell show was kind of nuts. Yeah, this was it kind of got, the quote was way stronger. Like Jensen Huang says to buy Qualcomm stock. I think the quote was way stronger than the actual shill, but that's Qualcomm. Space got pretty crushed today. Redwire is down 6. ARM's down 5. Marvell was down 5. Nasty. They had closes yesterday for a reasonable loss. Wasn't too happy about it. AMD's down 5. Micron's down 5. We're now plus 70% from the air mass level. Nvidia's down 4. Nokia's down 3. Dell's down 3. Rocket Lab, Space, that's down 3. And it's now, down 30% off ATH, ready to lose 100. Amazon's down 2.5. Google's down 2.5. Let's check in on Oracle. Ooh. Nasty. It went green and lost it. Completely lost it. Down 5.5 after hours on Oracle. Weak. Market is weak right now. It is ready to sell off. It feels ready to sell off. Market is weak right now. Oracle down 5.5 after a double earnings beat. What has Broadcom done since their earnings? Is it still down significantly? Yeah, it is. This is Broadcom. I mean, if that was the top, by the way, if we topped for the summer and we don't make a new all-time high in the summer, this was, to me, this was the first dead give. It was Broadcom. Double beat, not strong enough, gets absolutely destroyed on earnings, and it's down 25%. To me, that, I mean, it was down like 15% after hours. This was the, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the first, type of sign, right? To me, this was the first sign, was Broadcom. It's like that good news doesn't move it up, and bad news, even a little bit of bad news, rips it down. It's kind of the opposite of what you want to see in a strong market. A little bit of bad news, like it didn't beat by enough, and we fall off a cliff. A little bit bizarre. This, to me, this is the first sign if it were to happen. I feel pretty good about the way that I've been trading, which is mostly defensively and in cash right now, because I don't have any super strong biases on anything. I did take a couple positions, which I'll talk about a little bit today. But they're kind of unrelated to the semis, like big tech trade. Now, I don't know if you could actually decouple from that idea, but we will see. All right, moving on. Some more consumer SaaS type of names. Biggest daily gainer 3 days in a row is the enhanced games. What gives? I don't know. I think it was just from a sell side like price update. Did this. It is now up 78% off the bottom. There's how many people on Twitch watching this? 232. I don't think a single person in this stream holds enhanced games. If you do hold it and you're on YouTube or Twitter and you want to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. But biggest daily gainer 3 days in a row. Also, Sweet Green back from the trenches. This thing is up, back up 26% from when Chris Camillo first came on the stream. Biggest gainer. Third biggest gainer of the day is AMC, which I announced yesterday. I took a sizable spot position in. Let's mark it. 196 is my entry. It's on Robinhood, so you're not going to see it on my Hyperliquid account. threadguy enters spot on AMC. I like this. Pretty big size, man. I got quite a few 5 figures in there. It was more or less, I really want to rework the way that I position. Long-term spot and then special situations. I want to try to get off leverage just for the sake of being on leverage on a position I don't really believe in these board trades. These board trades. You know what's funny is I watched in the Michael Marcus chapter, Commodities Corporation with Jack Schwager, one of the things he says is that he basically laid out and dialed out his perfect criteria. If he had fundamentals and he believed there was a catalyst, if the technicals lined up, and I don't know, he had some third other catalyst, and every time he saw this, he would size 5 to 6x, and he made all of his money on these trades that met his criteria. Yet he still traded all the time. I call them board trades. He called them action trades. And Jack asked him, why do you do this if you never make money on these action trades? And he says, man, I just love it too much. I'm too bored. I love it too much. I can't help myself. And so my goal is to minimize losses on action trades so I can smash on conviction trades. And I'm trying to do the same thing. I got to minimize money that I lose on action trades, and I have to minimize taking action trades. And so it's either a long-term trend I believe in spot, or I really want to only rip these catalyst, special situation, event-driven trades. I saw the Pope today. This girl on my Instagram saw the Pope. Where was that? She posted it on her IG story. It was kind of cool. Anyways, AMC had a nice day today. DraftKings, that's up 4.5. Open Doors up 3. Robinhood had a sick day. It retraced a lot of it, but closes up 3%, and it got as high as $92 today. And I think it was just because Meyer Malka is now about 680 shares, $55 million of Robinhood over the last 2 weeks. Mickey Malka, who I believe is the tipper guy, right? I don't know. I don't know if this is actually what made it go up, but reasonable correlation. That's a lot of fucking size. So good to know on Hood. GME pretty much flat. All right, biggest losers. Caterpillar down 6. Unity down 6. Rivian down 6. CEO just went on TVP, and I think it was a good episode. I ran down 4. Hims down 4. I wonder if the Brian Johnson drug platform announcement is bearish for Hims. Let's actually mark that out, and let's see how that plays out. What do you think? Bearish or doesn't matter? Brian Johnson launches drug platform. I wonder. This is his platform right here. Is that going to actually have an impact? You think it'd be bearish for enhanced games? Maybe not. It's a little bit different because it kind of feels like it's a direct competitor to Hims. Direct competitor. And I'm going to be honest. I trust Brian Johnson more than I trust Hims. Nebby's down 4. Snapchat down 4. Figma, the worst stock ever, down 4. Reddit down 3. Ferrari down 3. DoorDash down 3. Pusa, golf resort turned Donald Trump Jr. drone company, that's down 3. StubHub, this is the other stock that I took a position in, along with AMC for my IRL thesis. I entered right here. Ooh. And threadguy buys spot. I like this one as well. If I'm wrong on either of these, the reason I'm going to be wrong is that I don't understand the businesses well enough. But we are in a sick. I really like the IRL thesis. World Cup is coming to the United States right now. NBA Finals tickets are the most expensive they've ever been. I saw a message that where is it? Yeah, game 2 of the Spurs and Knicks was the most watched finals since 2018, which is pretty unbelievable. And it feels like sports are hot. Are you going to the game tonight? Maybe. I don't know. I would need Malcolm to let me know actually if we're going to do that. Actually, hold on real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. Anyways, thread. Okay, this is where I bought some spot. It's down a little bit here. Shopify, that is down 2. Nike down 1.5. MSTR down 1.5. It was gonna go green for a second, but this thing is getting crushed. IBKR, that's down 1. Coinbase down 1. Take-Two Interactive down 0.75. Lily down 0.7. All right, altcoins real quick. Let's give a look at some altcoins. Leader is Monero. It's the only thing that's green. Everything else crushed. Chip down 16. VV down 13. Athena down 10. Mega down 10. Lighter down 8.5. Galaxy down 7.5. Did you see the guy taking a humanoid to Everest? What?
20,000-foot volcano. Humanoid robot just climbed a 20,000-foot volcano. Meet Pemba, a modified Unitree G1 humanoid Chimborazo volcano at 20,341 feet, according to project details shared by the team. However, Pemba didn't walk the whole thing. On slopes steeper than 30 degrees, the team carried it, but on flatter terrain, it walked autonomously across a brutal 16-hour summit push. The project is led by engineer Pablo Berlanga Bomare, founder of Geologic Dome, who previously worked on conservation initiatives with the World Wildlife Fund. Unlike the increasingly common videos of robots dancing, running, or performing acrobatics, the Pemba project is designed to answer a different question. Can humanoid robots become useful tools in remote environments where humans face significant...
Holy fuck. Unitree is not public, right? Unitree IPO. Wow. That is... I'm surprised it didn't pop RoboStrategy. Does RoboStrategy have exposure? Or no? RoboStrategy portfolio. No, they don't. That feels like a miss, guys. No exposure. Wow, that's pretty cool to see. Anyways, tokens down across the board. Pump Fun. I have not heard anything. I gave my proposal for how to save Pump Fun. Nobody's gotten back to me, so I guess they're not interested on my proposal to save Pump Fun. That's down 8% today, and nothing else particularly worth noting. All right, checking in. Oil, which we already looked at once, but we'll look at again one more time, is pretty fucking green and scary. About $90 on WTI. And then Brent is here at 92.8. Pretty green. This is the hourly chart. It is sort of scary, but it is what it is. Last thing we have to do on these markets is let's check in on our favorite traders. So first and foremost, here's Loracle. Man, I'm going to be so honest, guys. This one kind of hurts me to watch. He's down 7.4 all time. It was plus 40 3 weeks ago. But the thing that is brutal about this is he was so short Hyperliquid. And lost an unbelievable amount on the Hyperliquid long. Oh, press combined. Where? Oh, whoa. Dude. That's way worse. It's way worse. dog. Here's the thing. Is he was super short hyperliquid, closed it at the top, and went really long hype. It's down 2.3. I mean, he's got a lot more money than me, but these last two trades have not been good ones. But it's a brutal market to be trading crypto. I don't know what else to say. He's up 2.4 mil on Zeke. He's up 45K on Tesla, and he's down a combined like 1.4, 2.5, like 2.6 across other alts on Loracle. So that's Loracle check-in. Garrett Bullish check-in is right here. And he's down. So he made 16. I think he made 13 million on a Zcash short. Flip long, he's at 1.2, and he's down 18 respectively on the Bitcoin long. 5x from 76.1. It was not the top tick, but it is down $18 million. Plus another 300 smacker on funding. And then last but not least is we do want to see Jez, but I don't think I have Jez's saved. Send me Jez's one more time. Fuck, this is Cooker. I don't want to see Cookers. I want to find Jez's, but I always lose it. I always lose the Jez one. But I know Jez has a Zcash long. This is just one of the Jez wallets. It's up a lot. The Zcash long, I think, has been fully round tripped. But overall P&L, yeah. Oh my God, I never clicked combined. Holy fuck, Jez. Wow. I love this shit. Wow. All-time P&L. Spot and perps. $16.8 million. Holy fuck. 30-day P&L. Wow. Anyways, the Zcash long was up 300K. It's down 63, but it doesn't feel as bad when you look at this. That's unbelievable. Performance. What's his biggest P&Ls? Best trades, but it's just perps. 60 mils the hype airdrop. Still, that's unbelievable. Wow. GG. Shout out to Jez. That is a massive number. I don't care where it came from. Hyperliquid. I don't care what the fuck it came from. That is a crazy number. All right, we have 17 minutes till Good Alexander, so I'm going to save the SpaceX stuff. First and foremost, we have some war check-ins to do. So there's some escalations that happened here. I don't like to spend too much time on the war in oil because it feels like deja vu every day. But Trump came out and said Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talking no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead. They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they have to pay the price. Followed by Israel preparing to strike Iran. Followed by Trump saying the U.S. is going to strike Iran.
So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today, in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were so...
It feels like he's getting antsy. He wants this. I believe that he wants this thing done. I believe he's wanted this thing done for a while, and we are not done. It feels like Trump is fucking... I'm antsy. I'm antsy. I'm antsy on this. And then here's a quick explainer of what happened yesterday with the Apache helicopter. Their pilots were flying low in the Strait of Hormuz. An Iran drone lodged in between both pilots but did not explode. The drone caught on fire as the pilots were attempting to land the helicopter. These two pilots then took the helicopter into the sea and were rescued by an unmanned sea drone, which, what's the company called? We looked it up yesterday. It's private. I wish it was public. I wish it was public because we could have seen how much it would pump. The unmanned sea drone. It's like a Waymo boat. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. The U.S. responded with 20 retaliatory strikes. Saronic, first chatter, Dr. SN2 pulls up with the name. Thank you. Give some W's to my brother for the first chatter. Saronic unmanned boats. Legend. These things are insane, man. Yeah. These things are insane. There's nobody on him. I think there's like a guy controlling him. Crazy. Actually crazy. I wish that was, I mean, how much do you think it would have pumped if that was a public company? It would have probably absolutely ripped it. So that is where we are on the war updates. I continue to think the longer this goes on, the more likely we are to hit a curl pop on the oil trade. I'm not going to be there to do it. You know, if it starts to really go, I could find myself in. But where could I realistically enter Brent oil? I mean, at what price? Join us on the oil trading actually long. What price could I even enter this thing? It would take a total utter narrative shift. I mean, I think the flood tweet is the best one in this. It's like, watch this from long to 89 today. Let me see. Find the tweet. Maybe I can't. When are you getting drafted? Nice. I can't find it, but he basically has a tweet that says you should avoid markets where the entire world is incentivized to see you lose. It's a tough one. Hard to argue. I feel like that's a pretty good general rule here. You should avoid markets where the entire world is incentivized to see you lose. If I were really to blast this, I mean, it's maybe cheekily biddable above 98, and then it's maybe like slammable above 108. But every second that passes and you are in this long, you are just a sitting duck, man. You're like a Shahed. You're like a Shahed drone flying over the U.S. and they're just trying to take you out, man. Here it is. Remember, by long oil, you're long an asset that almost every country on earth is incentivized to see trade lower. Tough post flood. Second, okay, I don't do a lot of macro schmacro. You know I hate macro schmacro. I call it macro schmacro. If you come on this stream and tell me I'm supposed to care about interest rates, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself. Okay? However, there are some times where I think it's important. Today feels relatively important. I don't know. So CPI came in, Consumer Price Index, which is so stupid. I mean, they just take the like least inflated basket of assets that's dynamically changing all the time and then give you the best possible CPI. And the best possible CPI they could come up with today is 4.2%, which is at expectations. That was 4.2%. Previous was 3.8. And I mean, that's a lot, dude. That is, I don't know. I will never, at least not now, come here and pretend to be some expert on inflation or macro. It's the highest since 2023. And stuff, like, I almost feel like the price of things has just hit escape velocity. Like, I think 2% is the optimistic goal on inflation. It feels like stuff have just hit escape velocity in this world. Like, you tell me 4%, I look at it, feels like it's 20. I mean, I was watching this video today about the price of cars, and this guy was talking about pickup trucks in particular. You can't buy a new truck for under 100 bands. You can't buy a new truck for under 100 bands. You can't. I mean, the price of stuff has gone. I casually go to the grocery store now and spend $100, and I'm like, whatever. Coffee, and I bought a coffee, a granola bar, and a blueberry today at the grocery store, and it was like $17. And so the thing about this too is that you get oil rip. It makes everything more, gas and everything else more expensive. And we have basically completely ruled out rate cuts, and now hikes are on the menu. And I think the first Fed meeting with Kevin Warsh is soon. It's like when is the next Fed meeting? It's like in a week. June 16th, next week, dude. I'm excited for that. It's next week. It is next week, which is awesome. We're gonna get to see Kevin Warsh, who I think is the most competent person in, other than Best in finance and in government and whatnot. But here's a interesting post. So keep in mind before I show you this, I'm trying to get this guy on stream odd stats. I don't know his lore. I know that he came back from a hiatus like 3 months ago, maybe less, 2 months ago, and he's a giga bear, like bear posting everything. Bear posting everything he can get his hands on. He's bearish, bearish, bearish. So he's handpicking bearish stats. But I like to put some of that on my feed because I want the Giga Bulls, Giga Bears, read both, and then figure out what we like best. And so he makes his post, and he says, CPI inflation just came in at 4.2%. First time it's been over 4.4% since 2023. Here's every other time CPI was 4% plus for the first time in at least a year, going back to 1975. So the first time there was over a year that it goes back to 4% plus. So first, February 1984. The month the 1983-84 stock market drop officially entered correction territory. I've never heard about the 83-84 drop, and you know I love my lore, so we'll ignore that one. Next, September 1987. Now, this is significant because 9 calendar days of the 1987 stock market crash accumulated in Black Monday a month later, October 19th. That is relevant. Then October 2005. 7 months later, JP Morgan would warn clients about subprime mortgages, the first public spark of the 2008 global financial crisis. I'm ignoring this one. This is 3 years later. I'm not that interested in that. But this one, maybe. December 2007. 2 months after the S&P 500 peak that became the largest stock market crash since the Great Depression. 2 months after the peak, it's possible that this inflation CPI print came in like, I don't know. This was 2 weeks after the peak. I mean, if that was the peak, then it is relevant. And then last but not least, May 2021. 8 months later, the S&P 500 would peak before dropping 27% in less than 9 months. And then June 2026, that's today, baby. Enjoy. So it does very much feel like some hand-picked data that was presented on this graph. But nonetheless, yeah, it's like an ESPN stat. It's like the first guy with 17 points and 20 rebounds on the odd day in June in an odd calendar year over the last 3. Like, it's like an ESPN stat for sure. But it's got to call it. You got to call it out. And then I do want to watch this. Trump spoke about it. Trump spoke about it, and he uses the quote, "I love inflation," is what he says.
Sure, the right people come into our country. I will. I will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why?
They take him out of context a little bit. He didn't quite say "I love inflation." Well, he did say "I love inflation."
I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this was great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation.
He did say it. Fine.
Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships. Late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the
great minds of our generation. Starting with Pete.
One thing.
We haven't said the word Pete in like a month.
We have to do now. We had just hit the highest stock market in history. Highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers.
So Dev talking about price, but it's the one Dev you don't mind talking about price. So that's CPI brought to you by yours truly. Look, I only bring it up if I the only time I'm talking about macro on the stream is if I am utterly forced, just genuinely forced I'll bring it up. I'll talk about it. I have got to be straight up forced to do it. Also, one other thing I missed today is look at this. Cracker Barrel. Look at this. Plus 23% today. It was up as much as 35% intraday. Chat, be honest. When's the last time you ate at a Cracker Barrel? Why is this a public company? It's worth $900 million. Why is this a public company? It's up 35% today. Why is this a public company? If you guys want to watch Humanoid and Everest Mission, we did watch it, I believe. I went to a Cracker Barrel when I was in Florida for an interview that actually never got posted. For some secretive reasons, and that shit was ass. Okay. It's up, yeah, I don't even know exactly why it's up. Oh, I remember they changed their logo.
There's a robot out there, the closest point on Earth to space, and no road took it there. No signal reaches it.
Damn, this is like giving me chills. Why am I like getting chills from this?
No one is coming if it falls.
We got to figure out how to get exposure to these robots companies. Maybe we need to buy the actuator. Oh, what was the action? What was that Missouri company called? The St. Louis Actuator Company. Somebody pull that for me.
Game to build.
Please pull
the
that.
layer that lets
What's
a
that called?
machine work when there's no Wi-Fi, no power, and no one to be there. And trust it while it does it. Summits were never the mission. They're
You got an Aptronic via Echo?
great test, the most brutal, disconnected edge we can find on this planet. Because the hardest place to run a robot was never a mountain. Every summit.
Yeah, it's Moog. They make actuators out of St. Louis. It's the biggest. Wait, St. Louis Actuator Builder Company. Is it Moog? No, it's not Moog. It's Emerson. It's down today. It's down today. Oh, last but not least, I made a new list. New list on the stream is IRL experiences. I have a new list, okay? On the list, we have AMC, my favorite. We have StubHub. We have Live Nation. Everything was green on this, by the way, except for the one that's like a counter. We have MSGE, which is Madison Square Garden Entertainment. This is the arena, up 0.5. We have Madison Square Garden Sports Corp, which is the Knicks. We have the Sphere, which is also owned by them. We have Royal Caribbean is counter signal because if you get on a cruise, you're not someone that I really want in my vicinity, just to be completely honest. We have Six Flags, which is also a little bit of counter signal, but it's up. We have Liberty Media Corporation. I forget what this even is. What is Formula One. And then we have TKO, which is the UFC is on here as well. So that's my list. All right. Are they not boycotting the WC tickets? What's WC? Wait, how much is the UFC? Oh, World Cup. How much is the UFC on these tickets? Why would they be boycotting the World Cup? Why would you boycott the World? I'm gonna go to a game. UFC White House, June 14th. Seat map coming. They don't even have a seat map yet. What about World Cup? Thread, I got us free World Cup tickets right now. What's like a good match? It's so funny. Like they got Mbappe in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The French national team like takes on East Rutherford. Yeah, France. One ticket. How much? Wow. Dude, the back row. Section 349 is $2,800 on the World Cup. What's the final? The last game? Probably this, right? Oh, it's in Miami. Oh my God, in Miami. This is the final. I think this is the final. It doesn't. I mean. Oh, that's not the final. This right here. It's East Rutherford. Yeah, MetLife. Okay, okay. Holy shit. Holy shit. 16,000 back corner. Wow. Front row, they got like up to 80. It doesn't feel that bad compared to the finals. It's the World fucking Cup, brother. 10,000. Wow, that's crazy. All right. Anyways, you're gonna be seeing a lot of StubHub screenshots. Anyways, I am going to get up because is there a link to the research chat? Sure, actually. Do you guys want that? I'll put that in here. I'm done sharing the pit, but I basically told our stream research team that nobody is allowed to talk in our private company comms unless it's talking shit about an employee. All comms have to go in this public chat for everybody to watch. So if you would like to join, we're using it a lot. It's kind of slop and it's spammy, but if you're interested in what happens in back channels, this is basically our company chat. So feel free to join that. And all right, I'm gonna get up real quick. When I come back, we have a very, 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 very special guest. He's in the waiting room waiting for me, and I'm moving slow. Luke, tell him I'm coming right now. We have Good Alexander coming on the stream. The focus is gonna be SpaceX IPO, Anthropic IPO, OpenAI IPO, MYTHOS, drama, and everything in between. So you've been waiting. SpaceX IPO finalizes tomorrow. First tick in the market will go live on Friday. I'm doing everything in my power to give you the most information possible to arm you, what we're going to do, how we're going to trade it. Good Alexander is that fucking guy. So, oh, he says he's in the waiting room. Wait. All right, I'm going to get up. Hey, DNAP, he says no one's in there, and it says Andrew Kang. Gave him the wrong link. We gave him the wrong link, man. Hold on, sit here for a second. Give me the right link. Give me the right link. So I can send it to him. He says no one's in here, and it says Andrew Kang. That's brutal. That's really, really brutal, guys. Hold on, it's just a second. Yeah, I gave him the wrong link. Sorry, man. No, you're good. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and Twitter and you would like to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. Also, if you didn't watch the Andrew Kang interview, it's a pretty good one. This is Good Alexander if you don't know him. He's my resident SpaceX quant. For sure. Okay, here. All right. Resident looks maxer. Yeah, he comes on and like has been mogging me recently, but it's fine. Also, if you have questions that you want to ask him about the IPOs, how he's trading it, anything in between, Okay, cool. He's here now. I'm letting him in, and I'm gonna get up. Feel free to type in the chat, Twitch.tv/threadguy. I can't play music because they're in the waiting room, but I'll be right back. And we'll do the interview with Good Alexander, baby. All right. I know. I'm sorry about the silence, dude. I'm coming for you in 1 second, Mr. Alexander. Hold on. All right. Let me just tweet. He's on. Live with Ed Good. All right, let's do it. If you watch on YouTube, Twitter, and you like to chat, twitch.tv/threadguy. We got the man, the myth, the legend on the show. And boom, Mr. Good Alexander, welcome back to the show. It's been a while, man. You got to do background. How you been, dude?
I'm good. I'm at home in Omaha in a basement. So yeah, it's a different setting. How are you doing?
I hope you're enjoying home, man. I'm doing great, dude. You were on with David a couple months ago. We were talking chip, which was a really fun one. And we got to get a little bit of SpaceX action on that stream, but it obviously wasn't the focus. And now we're 2 days out. And I mean, man, a lot's happened since you came on. I think the main thing to start with is that there's just been a lot of new information on the IPO circuit since you first came out. We didn't really know that much about SpaceX other than the fact that it was coming. We now know more information on their filing, their financials. We know about this Google $12 billion annual revenue deal. We know about the Anthropic partnerships. We also know OpenAI and Anthropic are coming confirmed. I think we were just speculating back then. So I guess to let you start, how are you thinking about what is going to happen with the SpaceX IPO and the impact it is going to have on the market? And has your perspective changed at all since our last stream?
Yeah, I think now that we know all the numbers, my previous comment on the stream was that this is a really big liquidity event. So putting it into perspective, over the last 5 years, crypto VC, which we know has generated a lot of pain for various charts, has raised a little like 130, 140 billion. And in the next year, we have about 200 billion of issuance. And in the SpaceX IPO specifically, it has a much higher allocation to retail investors than would be typical. They're basically, normally it's like 5 to 10% for retail. For the SpaceX allocation, it's about 30%. And so we're looking at a $25 billion slug, which is coming out. And just from a market's perspective, you have to pay attention to it because it's going to suck the liquidity out of every speculative asset, regardless of how these things turn out. And I think what's interesting in markets right now, or previously, we were in a kind of overheated environment where people are like, I think a really good example of this is the S&P telecom ETF. It's like a telecom ETF, right? But it has satellites in it, right? So it has some satellite companies in it.
Yeah.
And this thing ran like 120% in a year. And this is a thing that, I used to trade telcos. These are like the most boring companies in the world. And you're like, there's no reason why these things should moon. And so we went into this with like a lot of speculative excess. And I think some of that excess has been taken out of the market in the past, couple weeks. But yeah, the way, if you kind of look at the raw picture, what I was saying before is like the market cannot go up, the crypto market cannot go up, risk assets cannot go up into $200 billion of equity issuance in three of the hottest companies in the world, right? Like it's just really hard. And now what I think of the equity issuance is that's like a very separate thing. And I think I watched the Elon Musk presentation with Jamie Dimon.
Jamie Dimon, I saw that, yeah.
He did an interview, and you're like, okay, like what are we actually, what's the play, right? Like so it's like, how are you gonna like this thing's growing at 30% a year? Maybe, before all these like revenue pump deals came out, it was maybe growing 15% a year, which is not an acceptable growth. Just putting it in perspective, Anthropic is going at least 500 to 800% a year. OpenAI is likely doing, 500% a year. And these are coming out at like, one half the valuation of SpaceX, which is growing at 1/10 the rate. So you're like, okay, like what do you got, Elon? Like, what's the pump? And he sort of like converged on the sun narrative. So
he has converged on the sun. That was like the focus of Jamie Dimon was the sun is massive.
Yeah. So the sun meme, it's funny because like, there's a Nick Land is the famous accelerationist who wrote, the CCRU stuff, and he was hanging out with Elon Musk. There's like a picture of this ghost-like being with Elon hanging out like via fire pit. And he went on podcast afterwards. He's like, Elon told me the sun is really big. And I'm like, fuck, man, like where is he going with this? And now we know where he's going with it, because basically he filed to launch 1 million satellites. And the thesis is that you can have data centers in space. And the structural argument is that you just have like this like pack of satellites that is cooled by space, right? So in the real economy, you have all this coolant, you have all this logistics. And his assertion is that he's going to launch 20% of the US power supply into space and have data centers in space, right? And so what you're paying this insane multiple for is, and I pulled up the sort of like, basically the reason why these Anthropic deals and the reason why the Colossus deals are important is because it's foreshadowing for like what he's pitching, right? He's saying, look, I already was the visionary guy who got the Colossus data centers, and now everyone's renting them from me, paying me billions of dollars, and I'm going to do it again. And this time I'm going to do it in space. And the structural argument is that basically you could make $300 to $600 billion a year of like basically deflate, because essentially the alternative is building out massive, unprecedented amounts of data centers in the United States, and people don't want these data centers by their houses, et cetera, et cetera. It drives up the power price. And so that's his thesis, right? When you're buying into this thing, you're buying, like, I think there's a really top investor who I won't name, but he told me, he's like, the way I think about SpaceX is I don't know about SpaceX as a company, but as a stock, it's one hell of a stock.
Oh my God. That is a sick line. I love that. How do you, that was so good. Fuck. Also, I feel like the sun thing is new. Like this is a new tell me this first. What do you, Good Alexander, think of SpaceX as a stock, and roughly do you have a plan on what you're going to do when IPO is live?
Yeah, I'm short every telecom stock right now.
And explain that.
Okay, so everyone's long every space beta into the SpaceX IPO.
Yeah.
And you cannot have better space beta than what Elon is going to deliver. It's impossible. Like, essentially the thesis is that all the space trades just go into hardcore full reverso mode. Like that's my my very near
Like
term.
it's just too lucrative. It swallows everything. It's like
Well,
how can Aster go up when you have Hyperliquid type of thing?
and it's also just like the amount that the bankers are getting paid, right? Like the reason why Jamie Dimon is interviewing Elon Musk is not because he likes Elon Musk. It's because JP Morgan Investment Banking Division is minting on this IPO, right? And that's why he's fast tracking it into the NASDAQ. There's like, I don't know what the speed is. I think it's something like a 3 month fast track. Uh, I don't know the exact terms of it. The S&P refused to do it. They tried to like they tried to pressure the S&P to do it, and then like and so but you kind of the theory that I have is that Elon is the greatest equity salesman of our time, and you don't want to bet against his ability to just completely dominate the space narrative. And the thing about the space narrative is that it's completely unfalsifiable, right? Because it's going to take him quite a lot of time to build the products. You know, the other thing that I was originally bearish on was I was like, dude, what is this Cursor deal? Why are you paying 60 billion for Cursor? And then the thing that changed my mind or like got me more excited, you know, I use a lot of AI coding tools, and there's something that they cooked with, you know, Colossus. It's called Composer 2.5 Fast. And it's sort of, they've started training new coding models with all of Cursor's proprietary data. And I thought, okay, like this is a meme. This is something you're doing because Grok basically failed, and you're just trying to play catch up. And I'm like, this is a pretty good model. You know, it's not, and when I say good, it's nuanced. It's like Claude is the great designer, engineer, mathematician.
Yes.
Codex is the reliable tank that just like gets shit done. But Cursor is just, Composer 2.5 fast is just ridiculously fast. Like it's like you can analyze if you're analyzing a cryptocurrency or a new crypto protocol or a bit tensor amendment, you can iterate with it at the speed of thought, right? You can just literally be like, okay, what is this amendment exactly? Like, what does it do in the code base? And it'll just be like, it does this, it does, you know, it create a chart for me that shows me visually what this, and it'll do it. And it's like, whereas with when you're interacting with Claude or you're interacting with GPT, you're like, make me a chart, and then you go and get a coffee, and 10 minutes later the chart is done, and it totally ruins your flow.
It destroys
And
it.
so it's just super fast. It's super good, and that really changed some of my, like before I was just like, okay, this is like the end. You know, this is because it's like you know, 33% pumped revenue growth thing trading at, you know, 99 times sales. You know, good luck at 1.7 trillion. With all these like insider party deals between XAI, like jamming XAI into SpaceX at the last minute is just like at first I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, what you're doing is that you're telling a story about AI data centers in space. And that's the story. And it's a good story, and Elon can sell it, right? And it's like, do I think the stock is going to puke when it IPOs? No, I don't. But do I think it's going to completely suck the liquidity out of everything that's possibly or tangentially related to that story that he's telling? Like, yes, I do. That's sort of my opinion on SpaceX.
And why short telecom specifically?
I know the stock's the best. I used to be a telecom analyst.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Yeah, well, I was on a TMTC team, so I covered Verizon and T-Mobile and, you know, SoftBank, and I traded telco stocks. And I just know that these management teams are clowns, like they're shareholder destructive. Like no, like you can't buy. I'm confident that they're not going to do anything good with the influx of capital. Like that's sort of like the 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 thesis. I started ramping back up on them because I started building this position um, uh, just to kind of see, to make sure that I'm not like that T-Mobile isn't growing at like, you know, 100% a year. Just to make sure that I'm not like missing something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that I'm missing anything. If anything, like let's say SpaceX is right and they launch 1 million satellites, like Elon suddenly has like everyone by the ball. Like, you know, it's like if SpaceX is right, if let's say SpaceX is right, now he has everyone by the balls, like from internet, from AI. Like let's say there's AI compute on your phone, and then Elon can beam it from space, and then like what are you gonna do as T-Mobile, right? Like you're wrecked, right? You pay whatever price. So it's sort of like I'm like, that's sort of how I was thinking about it. It's very much a trade because I wanted to have this on in some fashion. And I also have like a ton of long telecom exposure because essentially SK Mobile, and is one of the big early investors in Anthropic, and then SoftBank is like a big investor, which is also a lot of people don't even realize that SoftBank has a telecom business, but it's a telecom in Japan, and they have a monster stake in both ARM and OpenAI. And so my other IPO exposures happen to be long telecom stocks. So I already was asked to short them because I was like, I want to get rid of this risk. I don't want to be long telecom stocks because I just don't have a view on the telecom sector. But then I started looking into it. I'm like, wait a second, why are these things up triple digits year on year? And you're like, oh, okay, all right, got it.
That is I did not think about it like this at all. I told the stream your IPO specialist now, I think, is going to be your assumed role. I did not think about the telecom thing at all, but it makes a lot of sense. You also can't compete. I also like the way you thought about it, where a lot of these narratives are far out, and so you kind of have to take him at his word until it gets built or it doesn't, and you spend so much time in anticipation of it. The price action happens anyways, whether he builds it or not. It's sort of like irrefutable.
Dude, Tesla, I mean, like I just, I've followed Tesla my entire career and I've just seen everyone die shorting this thing, right? Like there's generations of people that they're like, Elon's not going to deliver the cars. Self-driving isn't going to be a thing for the next 10 years. And you're like, you're absolutely right, but also the stock is up 300% and now you're out of a job. So like good, like you just can't fade it. And like the thing is he's going to be right eventually. That's the thing about Elon is like you're like, okay, like he's going to be right eventually. It might be 10 years later, but in the meanwhile, retail is going to keep buying his stock because he's the best equity promoter of our generation.
Man, what do you think about the first thing I thought about when I saw SpaceX IPO is short Tesla, because we're crypto guys, and the two stories we know very well are low float, high FTV, and Dev launched a second token. And I'm like, Dev launched a second token, I'm short Tesla. But then immediately after, Tesla starts hitting red candles, and then the leaks, merger, rumors of a merger, SpaceX acquiring Tesla, merger, and then everyone's terrified to short this thing because at any moment, you just get, like you said, you just get blown out because Elon says, fuck it, I'll break some, whatever, I'll make it happen, merges Tesla and SpaceX, and then you get blown out. How do you think of the prospect of that?
I don't like short. The only way I would ever short Tesla would be if Trump does a deal with the Chinese and we get the Chinese electric vehicles in the US, which are by most standards like market leaders in terms of cost and just consumer experience. So that then I would short Tesla. I don't want to short Tesla. I originally thought that would be a good idea because I was like, yeah, the dev second token. But then I was like, why would I short a robot? Like, why would I short the only liquid expression of robotics and self-driving in public markets other than Google when I could short some like 70-year-old CEO telecom company that's growing revenues at like 6% a year and the stock is up like 180%, right? I was like, generally, like when I short things, I try not to short things that could invent the cure for cancer. That's like my one of my heuristics. And I learned it, I learned it the hard way because like my first big trading blow up ever, I was short Plug Power. It's this amazing stock because it shouldn't exist. It kind of has, it's like an altcoin that's pumped 800% multiple times on hydrogen fuel that it never delivers, right? It never actually delivers anything. It just says that it's going to, but it always pumps. And I was like, this is going to zero. And then the CEO left and I tripled down and I'm like, all right, he left. It's a fraud. It's completely over. And then the market was like, well, if the CEO left, like we actually don't like this CEO and they might have, and I didn't realize that a regulator didn't like the CEO either. And the stock went up like 600% in a straight line. And that was my first trading blow up. And I like did this, there's like this ritual you do called 5 whys, where you're like, why did this happen? And what it really boiled down to is I wasn't humble enough to be like, okay, if this has been a scam for 20 years, what stops it from being a scam for 23 years? There's nothing, right? And they have a track record of actually pumping 300%. And so generally with shorts, in crypto right now, there's like no good shorts, right? Because everything's market cap is so destroyed. In equities, there are actually a lot of good shorts, and a lot of them are like these dino companies that have gone on like generational runs, right? You're like even Intel, when Intel was just going limit up, and David Gills and I were at Intel because we were memeing like early on, like we're pretty early on Intel.
I remember David Gills being very early on Intel.
Yeah, because we were joking like incel inside, like it was just like a meme, right? And then like it started pumping. Trump took the stake. It didn't really go for quite some time. And then when it did go and you like really zoned in on the quarterly revenue, you're like, the stock is up like 200% and quarterly revenue is up like 9%. It's like, at least with the memory stocks, you're like, okay, like, you're growing at triple digits. This is insane. Like the compounder bros can kind of make a straight-faced argument that if it grows 200% a year every year for the next 10 years, like maybe it's reasonable. But then like with some of these stocks, you're growing revenue at like 8% a year. It's not like you're doubling or something. So those are the ones where I'm a lot more comfortable betting against them. And with Tesla, you're like, dude, I don't want to bet against AI. Like, come on.
This is like a I kind of stole this from Flood, but we came to the thesis on our own with longing oil. And it's like, if you're long oil, you are actively long in an asset that the entire world is incentivized to see go down. Good luck. It's similar to like, why would I short a stock that could cure cancer or like solve artificial general intelligence at any moment, because you're just going to get wiped out. Okay. Dust settles on SpaceX IPO. Then you are immediately thinking about the ones on the horizon. And I don't know if this is a terrible analogy, but we saw Broadcom earnings like a week ago where, and by the way, I mean, if we've topped for the summer, that was the first
domino. The fact you're looking at Broadcom earnings, by the way, it means like we've just like, what have we done, man?
I know. Watch this. It's gonna get worse. What I'm about to say is gonna get worse. Broadcom's earnings happens. They double beat, but they don't beat by enough. It goes down like 20%, drags everything with it. And then today, same thing happens. Like Oracle beats, it doesn't beat by enough, drags everything down with it. And so is there a scenario in which like SpaceX beats or it launches and it launches green, but it doesn't launch green enough or pump hard enough, and then everybody kind of panics? Oh God, there's not enough liquidity. It's sucked from all these other sectors. Space is down, telecom is down, maybe semis are down a little bit on the speculative hop all the money. And then you're immediately looking at OpenAI and Anthropic. Like, we don't have the liquidity for this. So how do you think about the dust settling after SpaceX and then the performance of SpaceX on how you would think about Anthropic and OpenAI?
Yeah, I mean, if SpaceX actually tanks, that would be horrendously bearish. And I believe that's probably why people are doing such large deals with SpaceX, right? Because Elon probably called them and was like, hey, like if my stock trades down, your IPO is dead. Right. So it's like everyone's incentivized to make this thing go up. And the great thing about the sun story is that it'll just be Elon running around saying how big the sun is for 9 months. And like, that's an unfalsifiable bull case, which is his specialty. And it has some like solid physics arguments, right? Like, cause Elon's an autist, like he's figured this out where he's like, okay, actually structurally, there's no reason why you wouldn't build a data center in space. Right. Like, so it's like this, like, I think I don't think that these other companies are going to collapse. It's more like that is going to suck up the liquidity on so much other stuff. I think that's the cleaner expression. And then regarding the other two IPOs, they're very different stories and they have very different kind of risk profiles, right? Like, investors in the current market view Anthropic as this de-risked enterprise bet that reported this like made up profitability number, but then when you dig into it, it's like deeply free cash flow negative. Nonetheless, they say that they're going to become free cash flow positive in 2027, which is like a typical like enterprise IPO story where you're like, we're burning money right now, but if we have our net retention number above blah, it's like it's all enterprise. And OpenAI is like the scary one, right? Because like OpenAI is like, dude, you're raising a, you're gonna run out of money if you don't do this IPO because they're burning so much money.
Yeah.
And I think like funnily enough, like OpenAI is the one I'm most optimistic on. Because I think so what people don't understand about, so actually, in my past life, I was like a founder, and I used to trade Amazon stock really actively. And back when I was at the buy side, essentially what happened was everyone was in Amazon because of AWS, and they all marked the retail business at zero. And I was like, dude, in like literally in China right now, the retail businesses of these e-commerce players are crushing it because they have ads. And right now, Amazon doesn't have ads. And right now, like as of Q1 2026, there are 300 million active shoppers on Amazon. And it's a $69 billion a year run rate advertising business. So this business that they thought was worth zero, like back in, a decade ago, is actually just this like money printing machine because it has an advertising engine. And OpenAI has 3 times the number of users as Amazon. It has 900 million chat DAUs, and currently the market narrative and the market consensus is that Sam Altman's an idiot because he has 900 million DAUs and he's losing money on the DAUs. And it's literally the same exact, like it's actually painful to watch it because I'm like, it's literally the exact same thing that caused everyone to be sidelined in Amazon for like a solid 10-year run. Just because they didn't understand that it's really hard to get 900 million users, and it's like appealing to normies is not easy. And Altman's done a good job, and I think like basically the thing I'm really keyed in, or the contrarian like angle with OpenAI, is they had this 6-week pilot on OpenAI ads that printed 100 million with like massive oversubscription, and they're targeting 2.4 billion of revenue, which is very small relative to where I think this thing could go. Like I personally think that if OpenAI really focuses, I think that, Bing, for example, by the way, has like a 5% market share in search, and like Google is like a complete monopoly on search. And the OpenAI instant 5.5 instant search experience, if you use it, is really, really good, right? And because the reason why it's so good is because it can consume 10 pages at once, and it can tell you what's on those 10 pages without you having to open 10 different sites and click through everyone's ads. And so like basically I'm just like right now the market consensus is that Anthropic is the killer. It's the winner. The Fable model, or Mythos as it's called, is excellent. And basically their story is that they're going to become free cash flow break even, and that Sam Altman's a moron, and that he's going to go bankrupt along with Oracle, right? Like that's the story. And so yeah, I actually think the story is probably a little different than what people think. Like I'm a big OpenAI believer. That's my IPO preference.
Okay, give me 1 second to flip these headphone batteries. That was a sick fucking take. I want to ask you about Anthropic and everything that's happened there, and then we can go back to OpenAI. Can you first touch briefly on the fake numbers comment and like what that means, the implications of that, how that plays out?
Well, okay, when I say fake numbers, if you read Anthropic press releases, and even if you have AI models interpret Anthropic press releases, you would probably come to the conclusion that they're free cash flow positive, when in fact they're disclosing a non-GAAP operating profit metric that is made up. So it's common in enterprise businesses where they're talking about, and it's an important number because like the story they want to tell is that we can serve these models profitably on a unit economic basis. Now, that doesn't mean that their CapEx is it, like the problem is that, okay, cool, bro, you can serve this one model profitably, but one way to look at it from an equity analyst perspective is like, do you have to spend the money in CapEx or not? Can you cut your CapEx or not? If you're Coca-Cola and you cut your CapEx, people are still going to drink Coca-Cola, right? So you can cut your CapEx and no one gives a shit. If someone launches a new product, it doesn't matter. If you're Anthropic you cannot cut your capital expenditures and expect your unit economic profitability to last because you will get wrecked in the next model upgrade, right? So the reason I say it's misleading
Got
is
it.
because they're characterizing their capital expenditure as a one-off when really I would say it's structural to their core business in such a way that it is effectively an R&D expense, right? So in my opinion, that's why it's misleading to say that they're unit economic positive, because if they stop training models, those unit economics would go off a cliff, and then they're like, so I just think it's bullshit. And they, that said, like they have structurally better margins than OpenAI because almost all of their revenue is from enterprise, whereas
Got it.
OpenAI is like it's a different story, right?
Got it. And so I guess follow up on Anthropic is we're 24 hours out from Fable launch. And it is, I mean, I don't know, most controversial model since like the original Gemini, like woke launch. What is your take on the whole situation, on how good it is, and then this like fuck Anthropic, they're dangerous narrative as well?
Okay, the model is excellent. I think a lot of the takes that it's not good are probably misinformed.
Okay.
Originally I was getting upset because it was refusing to do some security analysis on a feature I just shipped because I was like, okay, like I have this wallet integration, I want to like check it, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, I won't do that. And you're like, fuck, man, like what am I paying this thing? But then
Yeah.
but then you like learn how to prompt it, and you are like, you actually learn, for example, that it's allergic to making security mistakes and will actively find security mistakes in the repo as it's working and be like, by the way, there's this one thing that could be like an XSS exploit, and I'm going to fix, like, you should fix that. And so it's like, you're like, as you work with it, you're like, this thing's really good. Additionally, one of the metrics that I like, well, I don't know, internally I write a lot of code, and so it's like, how many bugs did Opus 4.8 find in GPT 5.5's code? Not many. How many bugs does Fable find in 5.5's code? A lot. Like and then when you go and you report those bugs to 5.5 and you're like, okay, like do you agree that of this assessment? It's always like, yes, like it's basically right, right? So it's kind of like Fable is the alpha model in terms of just deployment, and so I think that's just real. I actually don't like Anthropic. I don't.
I remember.
Um, but at the end of the day, like you have to just respect the fact that they have a really solid model, and you can't pretend like it doesn't matter that I don't like them. At the end of the day, the model is the model.
So you understand the economics probably a lot deeper than I do, but it feels like, I mean, the expenses here are racking up, and it feels like we're exiting the subsidy era on compute for consumers. And I've seen like there's all these headlines like Microsoft is no longer really looking to use Anthropic. They're spending way too much money. There was that Uber CEO went on Invest Like the Best podcast, and he was like flexing this gargantuan number that the company had spent on like Anthropic credits, and was saying they're basically done using it, or all engineers are capped. And then Tulip King from our team made this tweet today. Chamathko tweeted it. I thought it was pretty funny, but he says, I look forward to our Chinese brothers liberating the knowledge from within Fable 5 and selling it to me at 5% the cost and 2x the speed. How much of a, I don't know, how much of a problem is this going to be for these IPOs and then the usage of these models going forward? If it's just like this forever cat and mouse of American lab ships incredible model, China distills, or however they do it, open sources at like 5% of the speed, or 5% of the cost. Like how big of a problem is end of subsidy era here?
So this is why I like OpenAI more than Anthropic.
Got
And
it.
and so my basic premise is that uh right now, if you wanted to run Fable in a single agent, let's say a typical engineer runs two agents on
Yeah.
average, you can pay attention to two agents. That costs about $100 an hour. That's expensive. That
Yeah,
means that
that is expensive.
you're dropping a couple $100,000 a year. You're basically dropping a full-time engineer for using this model. And then the question is, what's the ROI on doing that? Um, the ROI for most applications is tied to the actual ROI of software. Because what are you doing with that stuff? You're building software. And then how much software demand is there going to be on a forward-looking basis if everybody can customize their own software? It's going to be lower, right? If I can build my own software, I don't need to pay for yours. If I can build my own video game, I don't need to pay for yours. Um, so what you're doing is you have an enterprise, you have this like nasty situation where the models keep getting more expensive and the value of delivering those models keeps going down because essentially the models cannibalize their own end market. Whereas in consumer, the thing that I like is I'm like, Google is already this like monopolistic behemoth that just prints money. And everybody talks to ChatGPT all day about what they want to buy, their feelings and everything. And so to me, consumer is like a much more greenfield market because you're like, okay, I already know having run ads that people don't think about product SKUs. You know, they when people are looking for a coffee mug, a lot of the times they're looking for a cute Christmas coffee mug. They're not looking for, this brand's coffee mug with this decoration. They want someone to kind of help them think through their purchase decision. And large language models are really, really good at that. Because they'll be like, these are the top 10 Christmas coffee mugs, and this is my preference, and people like that. And so I'm very bullish on the kind of, which is contrarian, because right now everyone's like, oh, enterprise is the only thing. And I'm like, okay, we've used Uber, right? I use Uber a lot. You probably do too. Is the app actually better than it was 2 years ago? I'm like, I can't tell,
I couldn't
man.
tell you a single difference. It's more expensive, probably.
Right. And so it's like, okay, they just burned X amount of dollars on Anthro. Like, it's like same thing with Salesforce. They're like 45% of our app is written by AI. You're like, cool, like, is the app actually better? It's like, it's kind of like, it's maybe there's some new features. And so that's the thing I don't like about the enterprise AI side is that it's just replacing a lot of software. Now there are like I think the exciting stuff is the biology. Dario Amode is like a biologist, and the thing that I'll say about Fable that's like exciting, especially in cryptography, we saw the Zcash hack. I think Zcash is like a really good example where you have a bunch of Israeli geniuses who are employed by Zcash, and they're the only people who actually understand Orchard, right? It's a very complex cryptography thing. It came out in 2022. It had bugs in the code sitting there for years that nobody was able to even like find because they just fund it. Like it's genuinely hard to understand, and it's very, very expensive to hire people who can understand it. Now, that's like the really exciting thing on Anthropic is that it can understand it very well. And it can find the specific problems with it. And then it can actually improve those algorithms. And so yeah, I mean, like, especially in things like privacy protocols or really complex tech, or even emerging tech like biotech research or mathematics research, you can be more white-pilled because you're like, okay, maybe the end markets can grow a lot because they'll really move the needle on innovation and discovery and making better privacy technology and its innovation. But you're like, okay, that's going to be a very small percentage of sales relative to these enterprise buyers like Uber. And in the Uber case, it's like the app isn't better than it was last year, but they're spending $20 billion. And you're like, okay, like the ROI is probably not there.
Do you think we're about to have this explosion of drug discovery? And are you aping bio stocks and pharmaceutical stocks and things of that nature?
It's funny because this is like one of the, there's a good expression. I think it applies to me. Being early is indistinct from being wrong. I did write, a couple of years ago, this thing called the Black Print Manifesto. And my thesis was that, essentially the scary thing about AI is that if you had a company that pulled ahead or an AI algorithm that pulled ahead in biotech research, and it could deliver you vaccines or things that you couldn't get elsewhere. You can't, the only thing you can't buy with money is time. And imagine if there was a company that was able to say you can be young, we can keep you young if you work for us, right? It's like then you're operating on a level of monetary value. When people, for me, the permanent underclass is actually the scary version of the permanent underclass is more of the Gattaca vision,
Okay.
where Gattaca is an old movie. You should watch
I've never
it.
seen it.
It's a
Gattaca.
classic. Yeah. And you know, it's basically a society where half of the society is genetically engineered, and there's two brothers, and one of them
Whoa.
is genetically engineered,
And one of
and the
them's
other,
not?
yeah, the other's not, and they're like, you know,
Whoa.
there's these awesome scenes where they're like swimming in the water, and the non-genetically engineered guy like beats the genetically engineered one, and it's just like it's a good
Whoa.
movie. It's in the 80s, right? So people have been thinking about this for a really long time. And I do think it's a very powerful narrative. The problem is that, and actually a lot of crypto people are very, very active in this.
Okay.
You know, Fred Ursham pivoted out of crypto into
And Brian's
longevity.
doing this, isn't he? Brian
Yeah,
Johnson? Or
Brian
Brian
Armstrong.
Armstrong, excuse
Yeah,
me. Coinbase.
he's running a big fundraise. Um, yeah, a lot of early crypto people like Dovey Wan are super longevity nuts, and they uh yeah, I think there is some sort of interesting, and actually Vitalik is hanging out with the human genetic engineering guy's like ex-girlfriend. Like I don't know what's up with that. She was posting
I
photos with
saw
him.
this. Is that
So yeah,
Beresheet?
there's this aggressive overlap between crypto and longevity. And I think like the what do I think of it? You know, I'll give you my take. You know, um, if you look at Brian Johnson's biggest investment, it's Ginkgo Bioworks. It's a ticker DNA,
Oh, that's
down
tough.
99%. It's a down only chart.
Ginkgo Bioworks Holdings.
He publicly shilled it. It's in ARK Investments, and it's just a
$500 million market cap.
down only tech, right? It used to be massive, now it collapsed. And what you find when you talk to ultra high net worth individuals who are investing in the biotech space is you're like, you think that longevity would be a good investment, but the reality is that in longevity historically has been a very bad investment.
Yeah.
And the reason is actually pretty interesting. It's because when let's say there's a new startup in Panama that can do something with, you know, ocular degeneration. Apparently, Eric Schmidt will have already bought that company before you even like had any interest in investing it.
Yeah.
And so all the good stuff gets acquired. The stuff that's really good gets invested in at a price invariant multiple because the ultra rich care about their health more than they care about their returns. And so when you're competing with others who have no price target, like if you're a return focused investor and they don't give a shit about what they pay for things, you lose money.
You're losing, yeah.
So that's sort of like the problem with longevity investments and the reason why longevity funds haven't done well in the past. Now, that's like that said, like Demi Hasibis, you know, the Google guy
yeah.
is like basically raised billions of dollars, and I mean, I would take that seriously if you can get access to it. I think I'd rather be exposed to like the stuff that's coming out of the labs, like Google or, you know, Anthropic. They're going to do something in bio because, you know, that's Dario's
He loves it.
background.
Yeah, he's a
Um,
biologist, right?
and so I would be kind of like, okay, like if I can get preferential deal flow to those, I would be a buyer. You know, I'm less certain about, you know, longevity as a uh I think Brian Johnson's a bit of a cautionary tale, right? It's like if longevity investing worked well, why is he selling olive oil, right? It's sort of like he's doing it because it didn't work well, right? It's a really tough game, and it's an insider market. Um, and so my bias with like ARKG or biotech stocks is to stay far away from them. I'm not a domain expert. I know people who are domain experts. It's actually like a very useful. There's a really excellent biotech portfolio manager in Puerto Rico, and I had this one night out with him, and there were a bunch of crypto guys who are into longevity stuff and peptides and biotech, and they started rattling off their investments. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, that one went through a clinical trial that was statistically invalidated, and you know that one." It's like the level of in the weeds that really good biotech investors are is truly frightening. and you don't want to be in the trenches with them by default. And so yeah, I stay away from that. Just personally, as an investment, I would change my mind, I think, if I had an order of magnitude more money.
Yeah, that was honestly well thought out take. Thank you for that. I got to get one more rant out of you. And I think last time you were here, I told you about how we were covering geopolitics and war for the first time, and we were talking about this like headline terrorism concept where Trump is like clearly in the books and he's clearly timing headlines around futures open and market close and things like this. And since then, we've had the Intel run, we've had go out and buy a Dell, we've had IBM with the quantum investment and just general like pumping of IBM. We've had Jensen Marvell. We had Jensen Qualcomm, which didn't go very well. And we've basically went from Trump is timing strikes around market close to Trump and Jensen are like prime Shaq and Kobe on selling stocks and picking winners. And I feel like it's just evolved another order of magnitude or maybe multiple step functions further into this is just like that was bizarre and to this is the new norm and this is how we play. And I don't know, what do you think about it? Like where are you with playing this game and the evolution of this game that seems to have happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll make a controversial take that we can play in the future. I believe that there's been intervention in U.S. equity futures, and I think in the future administrations will look back at some of the actions taken in the oil futures market as well as the S&P futures market and ask what the hell is going on. And I think Scott Bessent is actively involved. That's one of my takes. There's very, very abnormal price action in the market, and Trump is myopically focused on the stock market in a way that, given the portfolio of his behavior, that it wouldn't shock me if he called Bessent and said, "I'm going into a run, make sure the S&P goes up," right? Like that's something Trump would say. Like you've seen him for 8 years, we know what he's like. So I do think the market is kind of controlled by insiders. I don't think it's obvious that it's monetizable. So, I mean, I think the canonical example is Hegseth buying a large position in defense stocks that then collapsed after he bought them. So it's like, is there egregious insider trading? Yes. Are they CTOing equities? Yes. Is it worth trying to predict what they're going to CTO next? Potentially. But like I know a lot of people are building polymarket insider detection systems because they're trying to basically identify who in the Trump administration knows when certain things are happening. So there's like insider trading, wallet tracking, and that's popular. I don't know. I know a lot of people who've tried doing that, and so I feel like I'm being too bearish on like money making activities. Like, yes, there is definitely a way to profit off of this, and it absolutely is relevant in terms of like the government and the political environment, because the average American looks at this and is like, these are rich guys, playing dice with the global economy. And I think that's politically unpopular.
I fully agree. Also, for what it's worth, it feels like this is such a microcosm of what's actually happening. But like, I remember there was this 2-month period where we were doing BNB Binance Smart Chain, basically on-chain meme coin season. And the whole game was which coin is CZ going to engage with next. And it would go up for like 5 minutes. And then if you bought it, you had to have held it before he showed it or else you lost money. That wasn't exactly the case with Intel, but Intel pumped more than Dell, which pumped more than IBM, which will probably pump more than the next one and the next one and the next one. What are the okay? So let's just like assume I like the take because I agree with you. I don't know what maybe I don't have as much proof, but of Bessent and Trump very clearly in the order books. Why do you think that that's happening? Like, what did you see that made you think that's happening? But more importantly, what are the implications of that? Like, what does it mean for the future of capital markets and how you think about trading, especially as a retail investor in the US?
Yeah, I mean, is basically just the the market, like, there was a meme, like actually I think base 16Z started as like anything bad happens, the market is down 0.3%.
0.3%, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there were just like massive buying volume. Like, normally if you trade war markets, if you have traded them for a while, for example, in Ukraine, even in 2022, or even in COVID, you have this really gappy market. There's not a guy just showing up and buying the dip like in massive size, especially if there's like geopolitical escalation, right? Like it's not a thing. And that's exactly what happened. Like, and so I'm like, okay, there's someone who's buying unlimited amounts of S&P futures down 0.5%, such that we literally can't go down on any bad news. And that person is probably a Soros-trained trader who was trained by Stan Druckenmiller, who said, I like it when markets go up on good news. So it's probably literally Scott Bessent, who was trained by Stan Druckenmiller, who told him exactly the exact phrase that he would need to like. So I'm just like looking at this price action, and I'm like, this is nothing like the price action in any other risk-off geopolitical event I've seen. Scott Bessent has been trained by a guy who said that the market loves reading into bad news and the market going up. And Trump has basically no respect for, the rule of law. And so I'm like, okay, you combine those things together and you're like, okay, what's the easiest explanation for the market not dropping? You're like, well, like the easiest explanation is the obvious one. Uh, so that's sort of a conspiracy theory. I think we'll see in a couple years. I think there'll be investigations into this period that will like, be more concrete. But yeah, I think in terms of what it means for markets, I think it's very, I think probably people overestimate. I guess I have a relevant take, I guess. I think there are some stocks which are embodiments the of the legitimacy of this administration. One of those stocks is Palantir. Um, and I think Peter Thiel fleeing to Argentina and JD Vance being on the wrong side of things and like Democrats generally kind of doing quite well. I think there's probably a set of stocks that are kind of Trump beta that maybe won't do as well. And unfortunately, that hurts. It's not great for, one of the things that scares me in the current market in crypto is the odds specifically on the Clarity Act. Because I'm like stablecoin vault, like, USDT and USDC have basically flatlined supply growth when they were supposed to be adding hundreds of billions, right? Scott Bessent's big plan was like
10 trillion, right?
yeah, and you're like, okay, why is it stuck at 180B? Like Circle's trading like fucking death, and you're like, okay, you're not able to get this Clarity Act thing passed, which is your hallmark legislation. Like, why isn't the stablecoin volume going up? Right? And I'm like, okay, it's probably because people are worried about the treatment of stablecoins.
Damn.
And I'm like, that's not great, right? It's like Howard Lutnick is, got this massive Tether equity stake through his son's business, and which is the auditor of Tether's reserves. And you're just like, okay, like there are all these businesses that are at the intersection of Trump, capital markets, and the state and its spending, right? It's like we know what they are. It's like Circle, Palantir, Tether, right? Ripple. There's like a series of sort of like these entities that are based on this regime continuing. And it's kind of like you're like, okay, like I hope that for the sake of crypto that they like play the political. Actually, Ripple's really good at this, like where they play like, Chris Larson, I think, is just autistically obsessed with climate change. So, he kind of like they naturally play it well because they've been like in bed with all these like left-wing politicians for a long time. But there's a lot of gap risk for actually Anthropic and Palantir, I think, is like the most relevant thing to this IPO discussion.
Okay.
A lot of people are not paying attention to the language that Anthropic is using with regards to its partnership with Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
They're like, we're dropping forward deployed Anthropic engineers into these banks. And, that's Palantir's name for what they're deploying into the banks. And so it's like and by the way, Karp basically he called Dario implicitly retarded, right? So Dario went out and he said that
Oh,
there's
I
going to
saw
be
this. Yeah, yeah.
high employment and that high unemployment due to models and that you need to be worried about it. And, because he had a fight with Hexeth and Karp, chirped up and was like, he's like, yeah, well, if you think this is how it's going to happen, maybe you have a high IQ, but you're actually retarded. Like that's what Karp said. And I think that probably angered Dario Amode, and as it should. And I think Anthropic is powering a lot of Palantir ontology deployments. And I believe that if they kind of came to market, like one thing we know about Anthropic is they have no fear just launching competitor products to like their various customers, right? It's like Figma is like excited about using Anthropic, and then they're like, Anthropic's like, yeah, I made an internal Figma and your stock's down 80%. That sucks. And so but like that's like what they're that's what Anthropic's like when they don't give a shit. Like I would be very afraid of what Dario Amode is like if he does give a shit, right? If he's like, fuck Alex Karp, right? Like if Dario Amode really wants to say, like, because Alex Karp sort of like told him to F off, I'm like, okay, like you really don't want to be on the wrong side of Goldman Sachs and Anthropic right now. You're gonna get crushed, right? And so it's like, and like if JD Vance was your cover, like good luck, man. Like honestly, so I think that's sort of like one of the scary takes is that one of the really good macro indicators is like, tether supply and circle supply are supposed to be up only charts,
And it's not happening.
and they need to start going up again. Like in order for us to rebound in a material way in cryptocurrency or a lot of risk assets like that are not AI stocks, then we need to see the stablecoin supply start to run. And if it doesn't, that's like a very strong canary in the coal mine, uh, that things are not good. And, I think from a trading perspective, it's like, okay, you know, where do you want to place bets right now? It's like, okay, like, do I really want to fade SpaceX? No, I don't. Do I want to buy Anthropic? Probably not. It's probably too expensive in consensus. OpenAI seems appealing to me. I'm there. I'm in SoftBank. I like the advertising thing because people are like sleeping on it, and I think it could be huge. Uh, and then you're like, okay, well, in public markets, there's all these expressions of the Trump Besant era, right? And you're like, how does this era end? Is it so there are two ways it could end. It could be Marco Rubio and the anointed one sort of like continues a Republic administration to the sunset and like Larry Ellison's like winning. And then there's like another era where it's like Gavin Newsom and AOC just show up and just, like regulate everyone to death and like investigate everything that happened over the last 4 years. And unfortunately, I think it's probably more likely the second thing happens, right? You're like the excess is going to be paid for. Unfortunately, I think. And so it's like, yeah, it's pretty crappy for people like us because I think you and I, to some extent, have a lot of personal beta to things staying the way they are.
Whoa. That I love the if JD Vance is your cover, good luck. Because yeah. It's also interesting, like Palantir probably is I mean, it's the only stock that Trump tweeted tweeted ticker PLTR. And
Okay.
it's lower. They're at par with where he did that 2-3 months ago. And so there is something to be said there that the most tightly anointed Trump beta is trading horribly. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it's like there's like this core Palantir bet. I'm doing the work on it because I used to work at Palantir. It's been a long time since I've been
How long
there.
did you work there for?
I worked there for 2 years.
Okay.
I did capital market stuff, and the interesting thing, the thing I don't have insight into, is the core claim. The core claim is fascinating. The core claim is that um, the LLMs don't work out of the box. That's what
Yes.
Alex Karp's thesis is. He's like, and in order to make LLMs work, you need to have an ontology. And an ontology is a structured way to basically tag your data in an intelligent way, which aligns with our old intelligence product. Because the old Palantir pitch was like, there was something called the 9/11 report, and it was how did 9/11 happen? How did we fuck this up? Why weren't we able to kill Osama bin Laden when we knew exactly who he was and where he is and everything? And the two conclusions were, number one, agencies can't share information. And number two, when they do share information and you say that there's a guy in a white outfit with a Jeep in Afghanistan, turns out that's every guy in Afghanistan. And so you can't just say kill the guy in the white outfit with the Jeep with a beard, because that's every guy in Afghanistan. So you just start shooting random people and you can't do that. And so Palantir was like, you need to have an intelligence method to be like, tag whose Jeep is whose, like, how do we tell who's the right guy, right? Literally, that was the beginning of the ontology. And they evolved that pitch into AI where they're like, okay, if you take the ontology that we built to find terrorists and you map it onto business data and you map it onto intelligence data, and then you feed that into large language models, the large language models work really fucking well. That's their pitch.
Yes.
And the problem with that pitch is that all of the research on vector databases that like, and even the behavior of prompts, like one of the more common things in prompts is like, people used to have these crazy prompts where they tell people to do like 19 steps in order to make Opus do what they wanted, right? So there are these prompt engineers. Prompt engineering has been going down a lot because the models, as they get smarter, you don't need to feed them an ontology to get their shit right, right? So the big question to me is like what's actually under the hood? And that's sort of the tell is like, I think we'll find out if Anthropic and Goldman actually are able to. Palantir is an amazing business, right? By the way, because, and there's a reason why they have a huge multiple. It's like they have great people, and once you show up and integrate everyone's data and like have a system to interact with it, it's really hard to unplug it. But it's like, okay, if Anthropic is motivated enough and pissed off enough, and they're working with Goldman Sachs, like, and the ontology might not be necessary for vector database performance. And that's like the really like spicy thing is like, what if Carp's wrong? What if you don't need an ontology? What if you just need like a Snowflake database with like, some automated tagging that like MYTHOS can figure out in like a day, right? You're like, then you're fucked, right? Like then you're going to 10 times, then your stock is down 80%, right? So it's like I think that's like a really interesting place to spend time on analytically on this like core question is like, do you actually need an ontology for large language models to work? Because I don't have an ontology and I use LLMs every day and they work great, right? And so it's kind of like this like what if I did have an ontology, would it work better? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out.
Have you ever met Alex Karp?
I have.
What is his presence like in person?
I think a good summary, he's a CEO whisperer. I think a lot of CEOs deep down are worried that they're not interesting people. Like if you're Jamie Dimon or you're at the top of the finance game, you're not afraid of being rich. You're afraid of being boring, right? And Alex Karp is a very interesting person, like extremely interesting, almost painfully interesting. He's read every book. He does qigong barefoot in his office. He's extremely inappropriate. He gives these like 1 hour speeches to everyone who like shows up, and he like berates people and he makes fun of them. Like I remember one time he like took me aside. He's like, I think you probably imagine that you're good at sales. And I'm like, well, I was just in a sales meeting and I'm like, I think I kind of crushed it actually. And he's like, that sale was going to close regardless of your present, so he's able to just like, he kind of picks people apart and he'll tell people, it's sort of Steve Jobs-esque. He'll tell people he's kind of like, one of the things he tells people is he's like, you're a spike talent. You're really, really good at one thing, but you're not good at anything else, right? And like his job at this organization is to take all these like mutants who are good at like exactly one thing and jam them together and create this like enterprise grade solution. And I mean, he's a fantastic CEO. He's great with retail investors. I was like basically a retail investor because I was so young when I started there. I was like, this guy is crazy. I love it. Like this is bullish. But yeah, I think that can probably go against, like, I think that can turn out poorly if you end up starting a fight with your biggest AI supplier.
Yeah. Dan, that was thank you for that. That was a sick excerpt. And yeah, I think this is gonna be a memorable stream that we'll come back to some of these takes that are either gonna age great or bad, but it's a sick time capsule. I guess to give you like a wraps, we're gonna have to do it again maybe for Anthropic and OpenAI. We could just be you could be our IPO whisperer. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a wrap. I hate wrap questions, but it is. I believe trading will go live Friday. Like, what do you think are going to be the most important things to pay attention to? You think we're up or down in a week on SpaceX? And yeah, I don't know. What should people pay the most attention to over coming SpaceX IPO and then into the next two that are on the horizon?
Well, I think the most important thing is going to be retail understanding the space story and articulating it and amplifying it. Because if you're paying 90 times sales, like you got to keep in mind that you're paying much lower sales multiple for OpenAI and Anthropic. And so someone going into the SpaceX API really, IPO, they have to dream the dream. You know, they have to dream the dream. And in other words, you need Jamie Dimon and the Goldman research team. It's like a concerted effort between the Elon marketing machine and the sell side marketing machine to build a credible story around space. And so the thing that would blow us up would be like someone's like, okay, the reusable rocket thing isn't going to work. Here's why, or they could prove it, or and then you're like, oh, or the structural integrity of data centers in space isn't good. But like, I'm bullish. I'm bullish on the ability to overcome that because you don't have to do something in real life.
Yes.
You just have to meme people. You know, as a long-term hold, probably terrible investment because you've got all the execution risk and it's already priced into the stock. And it's growing too slowly. And then like what you need to see to hold it, what you need to see that the next composer model actually is good. Like if they start getting state-of-the-art stuff on Composer where it's like fast and they also have unfair compute advantages, then you just like hold it. So I think, my assumption would be SpaceX itself trades well. Every other speculative asset trades down. It's path dependent in the near term based on basically XAI being a thing. If it's not a thing, then it just starts drifting lower. In terms of OpenAI and Anthropic, like, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just kind of bullish on both of them. Fable's incredible. Codex, I think Codex and Fable together are some of the best tech products I've ever seen in my career, right? You don't want to bet against like the best product you've ever used, right? You're like, okay, it's expensive. It trades at like 30 times, 40 times sale. You're like, okay, like, but it's growing at 8x, it's growing insanely fast. I think like the thing that would just make me like raging bull on OpenAI would just be more successful ad pilots. And there's a famous Facebook line. There, like the moment when like the bottom of Facebook, I remember Zuckerberg was running around being like, we did a trial where we turned off ads on Facebook and people used it less because like actually people like
That's
the ads.
insane.
And that was like I remember I have this friend. He's actually a billionaire now. His name's Garrett Lord. You should have him on the stream sometime. You should get Garrett on. Yeah, Garrett Lord. He's doing $1 billion in ARR now. He was running an education startup and he got into like the AI labeling game. This guy's just a genius. And I remember he was like full ported in Facebook, he's full ported in Meta or Facebook at the time. And I'm like, what are you, it's like, what are you thinking? Like, he's like, well, yeah, like if people like the ads, then it can only go up. And you're like, yeah, I guess that's true. And so it's like that's the OpenAI thing is like Anthropic has already attacked OpenAI. They've run advertising campaigns saying like you won't ever see an ad in Anthropic. It's like, yeah, but also Opus will bitch me out for no reason and like it's an unpleasant user experience.
Super unpleasant.
So it's like you need to see Sam Altman or OpenAI give clarity around the user experience with advertising in ChatGPT because there needs like if people feel like they lose trust or DAUs decelerate because they're like, dude, like I was going to you for advice and now you're shilling me like a diaper product, like no, I'm not going to use ChatGPT anymore. But if they're like, okay, like I'm delivering you products, one of the magical like Cloudflare is a really good example where Codex will automatically spin up Cloudflare tunnels without asking you, right? It'll just be like you're about to do something unsecure with an HTTP port. I'm going to spin up a Cloudflare tunnel, which is a publicly traded stock, right? And you're like, huh, like I would have maybe done that differently, but you spun up a Cloudflare tunnel. Now I'm thinking about Cloudflare, like this is basically like advertising, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I'm not that mad. I'm like, yeah, I can see why you did that. Like,
It's
it's sort of,
justified at least.
and a lot of the times the agents will tell you like, dude, you shouldn't build this from scratch. Like if you tell like Fable, you're like, I want to build HubSpot from scratch. Fable will be like, you should just buy HubSpot. It's like the models are not designed to sort of like blow up enterprise sales processes. So yeah, I think that would be like, I think the thing that people are probably sleeping on is OpenAI advertising. I think that's like, I think it's going to be this huge story. It's very contrarian because everyone's in love with Anthropic right now. And I think it could probably like, I think the probably the fade of all these like AI stocks. Notice that we just spoke nearly an hour and a half about tech stocks without talking about Google. It's the most consensus buy side long. Everyone's long, right? Like everyone thinks
Everyone is long Google.
everyone thinks TPUs, it's like the obvious like cash flow positive public traded comp. Their cloud backlog looks like it's fucking fraud. It looks just like a hockey stick. Everyone's long and it's not trading that well. And it's because Gemini sucks, right?
Sucks.
It's like nobody uses Gemini for coding. Like it's just not a good model. And so I think that's like the other take would just be like Google relative to consensus, the fact that we didn't spend any time talking about it probably means it's a fade.
Wow. On that note, I just got a
Cool.
Thinking USD noti flood. Really feels like Google held the top in the entire equity market by raising 80 billion of equity, not debt. For context, 80 billion is larger than Anthropic's last round, OpenAI's last round, and SpaceX IPO raise. So yeah, Gemini does suck, and GoodAlex, always a fucking pleasure. Until the next IPO, man.
Peace, brother.
We'll
All right.
get you back on. Thanks, man, for your
Yeah,
time.
man.
Have a good one. Peace. That was lit. God, that guy is a fucking... Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what we needed, right? I feel like we've done 15 solo streams in a row. I feel like we needed just full stack discography of the world from another brain. And that was probably the one that we needed. So speaking of Alex Karp and SpaceX, I have a couple things. We're not going to stay long. I think it's under market. Let me see what I have here. I have a Tom Lee SpaceX, which is hilarious. CNBC treats this guy like he's God, even though he's the worst trader of the decade. And we have an Alex Karp SpaceX take. Let's watch them both.
It needs SpaceX to trade well in its debut?
Yeah, I think it is important, Scott. We expect it to trade well because it's an important company, and the Elon Musk himself is an N of one person, but there's also a pretty good roadmap for why there's a future growth and a very big addressable market. If it trades poorly, I think it's going to give credence to a lot of the skeptics who say, well, the market's topping. And,
takes from Tom Lee will ease at 1.6K.
This marks the top. I'm kind of going to lean against that because I've been hearing a lot of folks declaring the top is in. So I'd say as a contrarian, because so many people think SpaceX marks the top.
I don't even care. I love the OpenAI advertising take, by the way. That was a really cool take because it's funny that the ad business, I guess I don't know that much about the businesses of these LLMs, these models, labs. But it's funny that Anthropic did like a Super Bowl commercial where they're making fun of OpenAI advertising. And there is a scenario. I mean, bro, I'm a chronic Instagram ad purchaser. I buy a lot of shit off IG ads, like a lot. I spend a couple $100s a month for sure on IG ads. I buy clothes. I buy like little trinkets. I probably spend like $300 a month, maybe less, $200 a month on IG ads. I don't know. Enough. Definitely enough. I would use the fuck out of ChatGPT ads. Probably it knows exactly what I want, brother. IG ads are unbelievable. I've bought a good amount of stuff. Maybe $300 a month was high, but I've bought serious size of IG ads before. A lot of stuff. I bought this. You know that I bought a Jester belt the other day. Oh, watch this. I bought this on IG. You know, like the Jester meme where it's like, here it is. I bought this yesterday. I actually think it's outside somewhere. I bought this. It's like the Jester meme where he's like dancing in front of the girl, but it's a belt. It's a belt though. We also have this.
I did want to ask you about SpaceX because it's going public this week as well. And I know you've partnered with them on proposals like the Golden Dome missile protection, and you are working on AI operating, I think, as it relates to space. So I'm just curious how you view that area.
I'm very optimistic for the future. I root for every entrepreneur. I'm rooting for Elon, and we partner in some areas and probably.
How about Alex Karp pulling Good Alexander aside and calling him a retard after his first sale?
Don't compete in others, but it's look when a massive IPO. First of all, you know, we're so blessed in this country. Like, okay, so I mean, I spent half my life in Germany. If there was an IPO, GPO, or anything at like the $120 billion range, the whole country would be jumping up and down. Here we have a country where it's like appears to be one of the largest, if not the largest IPO ever. It's super cool technology, things that no one else have done, and like I think most Americans, and certainly I hope all entrepreneurs are rooting for success.
And space? Are you bullish on space? Are you guys doing stuff there?
Well, again, it's very similar to these other debates. People underestimate. It's like bullish on space if the person doing it knows what they're doing. Bullish on Elon and space, yes. Bullish on.
It's a good take, brother. You make fun of me for rocking Lulu, then buy this. LOL, brother. If you're wearing Lulu in the Big 2-6, I can't help you. If you're a man, it's acceptable. I'm just saying the baddies have moved on from Lulu. I'm just being completely honest. So, anyways. That's where we land with OpenAI. I think that was about the best coverage we're going to get from the OpenAI thing. Outside of that, we could look at the financials tomorrow. We'll do a little bit more DD. But I'm of the perspective that this thing is going up. I would like to see it go up a lot. I think if it doesn't go... By the way, it's funny he called us out for paying attention to Broadcom earnings. That was funny. It feels like one of these situations, if it doesn't go up enough, we're in trouble. Right? It's like an earnings beat, but it didn't beat by enough, so we go down. And so tomorrow's stream, we're basically going to spend the whole stream on SpaceX and Jack Schweiger. I think it's Schwager. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll figure out how to pronounce it. The author of Market Wizards, who has interviewed every great trader that's ever lived. He's interviewed Paul Tudor Jones. He's interviewed Stanley Druckenmiller. He's interviewed Jim Simons. He's interviewed Jack Swagger. He's interviewed all of them, bro. Not Soros. He's interviewed all of them. Michael Marcus. He's interviewed Bruce Kovner. He's interviewed Michael Steinhardt. He's interviewed all of them. All the fucking goats. Steve Cohen. He's interviewed over the last 40 years. Peter Lynch. Everybody. He's interviewed everybody. And he's going to come on the stream. And so it'll probably... I'm going to start on time tomorrow at 3:30 EST. So we can get a full 90 minutes of market coverage, SpaceX, everything. It's probably going to be a volatile day. And then we're going to spend the rest of the time on Jack. I mean, he's the GOAT. He's just the GOAT. He's 77 years old, man. He's 77 years old. He's coming on our stream. So we're blessed. And on that note, I'm Thank you guys all. Thank you all so much for supporting. I'm live every day at 3:30 p.m. EST. We got a big fucking week ahead of us still. We have a big week ahead of us. War escalation, SpaceX IPO, Jack on the stream. Friday's going to be a big one. We have a lot to cover, a lot to get into, and that is what I'm going to do. Also, I don't say it enough. You see it in the background. You see it in the background. You see it in the top corner. You see it in the right corner. You see it in every corner. I also got the little plushie that I don't know if I've ever formally introduced, but man, shout out to Phantom, the goated partner of all time, for making the streams possible. Shout out to Polymarket as well, the other most goated partner of all time, for making these streams possible. They love you. I love you. We love you. And I will catch you when I catch you. I'll see you when I see you. Have a great rest of your day. Love you, motherfuckers. Peace.